All right, everybody, welcome to this Friday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice, and my correspondent,
Simone Cherie.
Kyle Andrew.
All right, so it's Friday, and
First day of Black History Month.
Okay, I'm not being funny. Are we still doing that?
Yes, the country still is, and I'm pretty sure the country will continue to do it for a very long time.
I'm just making sure because I just feel like it was one of those things we did that we don't necessarily do any longer, but that's still a thing.
Oh yeah.
Not just on paper.
I'm positive. I just stopped by Walmart recently and saw all of the Pride T-shirts that they're putting out on display for people to buy. It's still a thing.
Okay, well, merchandising doesn't count. People will find any way to put something on a T-shirt.
So what count?
Like, are we still recognizing it in schools? Are they still... Kyle, you just got out of school like yesterday.
No,
so...
I'm talking about
100%.
elementary schools, high schools, and middle schools. I'm pretty sure because, every year, except I didn't like the fact that every year that we watched My Friend Martin. That's what we did every year on Black History Month.
Really?
We would roll in that TV with the big old TV, and we would watch My Friend Martin. And that film actually used to scare me. I don't know why.
They used to play Roots every February when I was coming out. Yeah, deep. It's very deep, but it's also
kids.
just slavery.
I'm not
It's
going
all
to even...
February we talk about slavery.
I'm not even going to try to remember what we did in elementary school because that would be embarrassing. Because it was like eons for me ago. But I'm not going to tell my age.
Yeah.
I just know that I'm old. And I don't remember that. But I do remember us watching stuff on VHS and them rolling in the TV with the VCR on it. And, we kind of going from there. But that's about it.
And
Okay,
Black
well
Panther
then.
it's coming back out.
I saw that. Mm-hmm. I mean, is it going to be free or they just bring
Yes,
it back?
it is going to be free.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, it could be. I mean,
Black
at this
people.
point, it's on Netflix. So
Black people.
It's on Netflix.
It's free.
What shouts out to Netflix for getting Ant-Man and the Wasp and The Incredibles 2 made my life.
Yeah.
I'm happy as I don't know what, a pea in a pod. I just want to see that scene. For those that have not seen The Incredibles 2, there is this scene with Jack where all his powers displayed. He goes to war with a raccoon.
Yeah.
You cannot pay
Yeah.
for that. That whole thing made the whole movie for me. It just did. Just to see him
hilarious.
fight a raccoon and use like all 15 of his powers, it was amazing. But I digress. All right, so in news, what do we have? What do we have in news?
Lots of different headlines this week, but the biggest thing I think outside of the Super Bowl, which we can talk about a little bit, is the deep freeze, basically like the cold wave that hit half of the country, really the entire middle part of the country, where the lowest temperature was recorded negative 40 degrees. There were 10 deaths yesterday alone. It was just very cold all throughout Chicago, Minnesota. If you haven't been watching, Indiana, no one was allowed outside, or people were discouraged from going outside. I mean, a lot of that weather was really, really bad, and President Trump had lots of colorful comments on his Twitter about climate change as a result. We can talk about
I've
a little
never
bit.
met anybody that comments on Twitter for everything.
Right.
He spelled warming wrong. He spelled
He did.
warming.
He did.
So
It's always entertainment from the White House, and more. There's more from the White House coming up too this week, but also just other headlines. There's tech we can get into more about Catholic churches and allegations of sexual abuse, and 2020.
That's still a thing too. Catholic churches and abuse. That's still a thing.
Yeah. Things don't just go away like racism and sexual abuse. Like they just don't disappear.
But see,
so they remain.
but I spoke on this like last week or the beginning of this week. These causes that we come up with, like something's a major headline for maybe a month or two, and then it kind of fades away. So you're left going, is that still a thing? Like, are we still doing that? Like all the rage was Catholic churches and little boys a while ago, and then it just kind of went away from the headlines. So it's just like you come back to it and it's like we still talking about
I think
that?
we have to. What it is we have to watch our terminology with things like the rage, because it's not a style. Like it's just a very, very ugly ancient history of priests molesting kids, particularly little boys. So it's not a rage, but this is a situation out of Texas. The last time that this was in the headlines was because out of Boston there had been, out of New England, I think, there had been like a coalition of dioceses that were getting together and pulling up reports about priests that had been either moved or transferred after an allegation. This is about a situation in Texas, so that's the difference.
The fascination with grown men and little boys, I don't get it.
On the men's part?
Yeah, I don't get it. Like I don't.
Well,
I
that's
don't-
good. You don't want to get pedophilia.
Yeah, I guess that's true too. I don't get it. It's just okay. All right, so officially, your boy announced that he's running for president, which I said on Monday I did not want. How we pronounce her name? Kamala.
Kamala.
Yeah.
Kamala. and Corey running against each other. I don't want it. I feel like that's going to divide the ticket, and I was not rooting for that. And honestly, I felt like Corey had lost more momentum than Kamala did. So I really didn't think he was going to run because the momentum you had going where everybody was talking about you, which made me look you up, it's not there. So I'm like, okay, was that the goal, to let it kind of die out and then say, hey, you guys, I'm running for president? Shouldn't it be the opposite, that you keep the wave going so that people are like, oh, my God, he's running, oh, my God. So now I guess we just waiting to see if Hillary because she's playing games. So I guess we waiting to see if Hillary and Bernie going to run. And Joe. I guess we waiting to see if they're going to run.
I think Joe for sure. I don't know who's waiting on Hillary. Well, maybe Derek is.
Yeah, of course, Double R is.
But that's people who really should be. I don't know if anyone is. I think, but we still have a field of other candidates. So what about like Elizabeth Warren? Like, was she not going to split the ticket with Kamala if they're running against each other? Why does Kamala and Corey have to split the ticket?
Because let's be honest, they're both African Americans, and we like to vote for people that look like us. Typically, well, I guess Trump kind of changed that landscape, but typically we do tend to. If we don't know, then we vote for the people that look like us. If we just don't have a clue when we go to vote, the people that look like us are more likely the people we're willing to vote for. My fear is that the gender thing will separate voting. That males may vote for Corey and female may vote for Kamala, or the opposite, that males may vote for her and females may vote for him. Again, when we don't know, we tend to vote for people that look like us. So having two people on the ticket that aren't on a shared ticket, I don't say I can do us any good unless it betters the options of us getting another African American president, which I can't say that that's how that's going to play out.
Yeah. That's just the beast of a two-party system, I think. That's just the reality, is that there's going to be a situation where you have to figure out, okay, do we want to just have like a dictatorship and just decide who can run, or do we want to open it up? And if you open it up, then there's going to be, competition.
I feel that was some slick sarcasm, but it's okay.
No. It's really not. And I'm saying this because I've been following like the candidates more so this week than I have so far throughout the year. And there's so much dragging because there's so much fear for the fact that Trump could be reelected, and that I feel like a lot of Democrats are like, basically cutting off their own legs, like between Slate and Vox and Huffington Post and the New York Times and all the cable outlets and stuff like that. Like and late night TV have just been like going in on all these different Democratic candidates, but they're all pro-Democratic Party. And it's like, you got to be careful with that. And at the same time, this is a year where it feels very late to us. And I think it is kind of late, like it's later than I'd like. But technically, Barack did not announce until spring of the year before. So that was like March, April territory that he officially announced. So it's technically not that late. And maybe they figured they want to see what happens over the next 6 months. And whoever's not getting the momentum in June will probably fall off.
I mean, what are your thoughts? So who are you banking on?
I think we should kind of go into them a little bit and just discuss them because so that we know more than just their names and kind of compare them and contrast them, so we can go beyond like who's black, who's not, who's a woman, who's not. But what I will say is that it is kind of hard to get deep into policy right now because if you go to their websites, there's not but so many issues. Some of them have slogans, some don't. Like Cory just announced this morning, so I'm sure we'll see what his campaign turns into. But for Cory Booker's background, so he announced this morning he's a senator from New Jersey. He announced that he would seek the Democratic nomination for president, and he's added his name to this pool. So already who's in this pool right now, again, Kamala Harris of California, Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, and other candidates as well. Booker's 49.
Really?
Yes, he's 49. And we should clear up a lot of things that we've gotten wrong too. So I want this to be like, I want people to get the nuggets from what's actually true and what's not. Because we've gone back and forth about him a lot, and there's a lot of pictures of him out there, and I swore he had a wife.
He doesn't have a wife.
He does not have a wife. He's
I didn't think
bachelor.
so. I didn't.
You were right. He's a bachelor.
I told you I didn't think he was married.
Yep, you were right. And that would make him obviously historical and unprecedented.
What would that look like? Like, because there is a certain role for a first lady. Like that role has been cut out. Yeah, there's
quarters.
For a handbook that comes with first lady. So that's. Do you think that lessens his chances?
I think people would like to think that. I think for a woman, it would certainly lessen your chances to be unmarried. For a man, I don't know if it would lessen his chances.
Well, even with a woman being a president, see, this is where we get into new paradigms. It's like, if a woman becomes president, do we call him the first man?
Yes, we do. And I'm assuming they're going to change they would change the decorum.
I was about to say, so he wouldn't, I mean, the first lady's job is, in essence, You probably hate me when I say.
I mean, I want to
You
know where
give me
you're
this
getting. I want
book.
to know where you're getting this from because I'm dying to know. She's always had an unofficial job. She's never had like an official job.
You give me this look like, oh, I want to see what this is
So
going to
what's
be.
her official job?
Okay, look, let's be real. The first lady's job, a good fraction of it, a good 50%, is to kind of make the White House warm, and whether that be limited to decor or whether that be the setting up who comes through, the dining experiences, the kissing babies. Like it's a, it's really. I'm not gonna say it's a fluff job because it's not a fluff job because that is important.
Well, you just described fluff. I didn't hear anything important in what you just said.
I mean, like you said, it's an unofficial title. So unofficially, her job is to make the White House more welcoming. Her job is to present the softer side of the president while he's being extremely diplomatic, while he's handling foreign affairs and domestic affairs. Her job is to kind of lighten it up, and because that's in essence what we saw Michelle do. She handled her business absolutely, but in essence, Michelle was the softer side of Barack, and we saw her kissing babies and doing dance videos and coming up with new initiatives. We like that. That's what you do. Now, when you switch that role, what is a man gonna do? Like now, the role is switched. Your wife is out being the diplomatic one. She's the one handling foreign and domestic affairs. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna be kissing
probably
babies.
whatever you're qualified to do.
You're not gonna be kissing babies and decorating the White House. Who does that?
Why
so how's
not?
that gonna work?
Why not?
Really?
Why not?
Really?
I'm asking. You put it out there. I'm asking.
So I'm asking you, since you was like, yeah,
so
what would that look like?
I'm imagining Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton kissed all kinds of babies. All kinds. So I'm like, that's exactly what it would look like. Hillary at the table and Bill playing his saxophone and entertaining the guests. That's exactly what it looks like to me.
First of all, what you're not about to do is that foolishness. Bill Clinton was actual president. So,
Yeah.
I mean, actually, now that I think about it, Hillary was never like Susie Homemaker, make the White House.
Aren't like that.
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't remember much that Hillary did while he was in office. Because we always looked at him because he was just that guy.
But a lot of times the spouse is ahead of a lot of different initiatives. And usually the spouse has some sort of not usually, recently. Because I'm thinking going back a little bit further, they did have very, very light roles. But like if you think about Hillary and even Michelle, they always had their own initiatives that they would head. They were a part of policy conversations. They set tones. They gave speeches. Sometimes they wrote books while their husband was in office. They were part of press conferences and things like that. So a lot of times they did have like a more hands-on role, especially Michelle Obama. And I think it's kind of weird when that's not the case, just because of my generation. I just don't see a lot of that. A lot of like sitting around and randomly going to a school and reading to kids. I mean, we saw a lot of that with like Nancy Reagan. So they should be doing something, you would think. Melania does at least do that. She reads to kids. I've seen it.
For photo ops.
Right, just
Can't
photo
she really read?
ops. I don't know.
I think she just has the book open.
Maybe she can, but can her husband read is more so the question.
Was the book upside down is the question.
well,
Did
so-
she notice that the book was upside down? Like,
But Corey's also vegan. He reportedly saved somebody from a fire at one point.
what? He's a fire? What does that mean?
I'm just giving you his background from kind of his story. So he was in City Hall. He was one of the country's best known mayors back in the day. He leveraged a lot of his fame into investments. He spent a lot of time doing business in Newark, New Jersey. Months after he won a second term, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg did put $100 million into the city. So he's brought a lot of wealth to New Jersey. He's very successful there. He has said that. So he has told the Philadelphia Inquirer that he's straight. That's pretty much what we know about him at this point. I think his brand in the Senate has been very much pro criminal justice reform. He's talked about that a lot. He's been very critical of the president, of course. But he's a very stern guy. I think that kind of works in his favor. Like when you have somebody like Trump on one side, you don't want the other person to be kind of waffling or kind of timid or flowery in their language. Like he's very direct and very blunt, like how you'd imagine a New Jerseyan to be. So
now I have to watch his videos because I haven't seen him actually talk. I mean, has he said things against Trump?
Oh, constantly. And he was very vocal during the Kavanaugh situation. He's vocal all the time. And there was a point where, like you mentioned, he was kind of considered going to be the guy, and then for a little while he wasn't. So, I think he was just kind of figuring it out, and now he's decided.
I need them to understand that it is still a social media game. So you got to ride that wave through social media, and if you can't keep that momentum going, because Trump's never going to stop tweeting. And even when we get bored with him, he sends a tweet. You're just like, wait, what? Did you really just tweet? And the conversation starts all over again. So if you can't yield the power of social media, I don't have high hopes for you. I really don't. So, and I don't think Corey has mastered that. I do think for some of them it is a little late in the game to be showing up at the table when they already served the main course. So I don't.
We got to see. I think Democrats have to kind of feel this out, and they're going to spend the next year really trying to figure out who has the most momentum. I feel like right now it's almost like there's a carrot dangling, and they're just trying to see who's going to bite on that one. But so Kamala, there's some background here. So Kamala Harris out of California, we talked about her a little bit before. Her campaign slogan is officially "For the People," which I think is kind of funny. It's like a play on her prosecutor background. If you think about
that's not even creative. Like, come on, Kamala, that's not even creative. For the people, seriously.
It's funny. It kind of reminds me of like Shirley Chisholm. There's been a lot of debate about her race lately, which I will say I feel like worked in her favor because it's been really ugly debate. Like, is she black or is she black enough?
We really doing that?
There's been a lot of that. And
why? But she,
well,
then again, I'm about to say she looks black, but then again, Barack looked black too, and we still had that same debate.
Exactly. Like, is she black enough? Because she's technically the first. She'd also be the first Indian if she was elected too. So she's biracial in more than one way.
Yeah, but does she acknowledge her Indian heritage?
Yeah, she absolutely does. She's
she
very
Cherokee?
proud of it. I don't know.
Oh, okay, well,
I can't even tell you. But so her being a prosecutor had come out recently. That's something that we were kind of learning a little bit more about. As a candidate, she's talked about she supports ending cash bail. She supports legalizing marijuana. She supports healthcare, access to healthcare. She wants to end the entire healthcare insurance industry and just have like a Medicare for all sort of a system.
What does that look like?
What does that mean?
Canada? I'm assuming. It means that everyone has state healthcare. So everyone has the same thing.
That is never going to work in the United States because as long as we have people that want to sit,
think it will.
as long as we have people that want to sit in a VIP section and willing to pay an extra $20, that is never going to fly because the elite are going to be like, yeah, I don't want what they're getting. I want the top notch. I don't want what they're getting.
But so this is the thing for Democrats, though, is that they're all pushing towards this sort of. Stacey Abrams very much supported this idea. Of course, this governor shouldn't have been able to do anything about it as a country, but she very much believed that healthcare was a right. And so this is what this means for Democrats, is that if it's a right, it's not something that you have to apply for, qualify for, go through hoops for. It's just, it'll be available to you.
I don't know what that looks like. And like I said, as long as we have people that want to sit in VIP sections for extra $20, I don't see everybody wanting the same level of care.
It's doable. It would just have to pass. And people have pushed it before. So she's been accused of backpedaling on that, which she hasn't. What she said is that she doesn't think it's going to be something easy to do. But the closer she can get to it, I think she will. One of the things that's kind of tough is, especially with regard to marijuana, is that she technically didn't support it until last year. And so because she was a prosecutor before, a lot of people are kind of looking at her under a microscope and saying, well, maybe she's just now becoming this super liberal person like the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's and stuff, and the Bernies, and she's just pretending to be that liberal, but maybe she's not. And usually when somebody has a law background like that, they're not but so liberal. Usually they're pretty hardline, and they believe in the rule of law and enforcing it. So speaking of that, there's video footage that came out of Kamala recently about her time as a prosecutor, and she was talking about whether or not children could be truant late, and if that was a criminal activity or not. And her proposal as a prosecutor at this time over San Diego, big area, was to start prosecuting parents if their children were tardy, which is very, very controversial.
So just tardy, not actually missing school.
Tardy, yeah. That she believed was just a hindrance to your education and your quality of education, and that parents should be held responsible for that. So can we play that for people? There's a clip of it. Roland Martin Unfiltered did like an analysis of it. It's like a minute long, but you should hear her kind of, just pay attention to her tone and her inflection when she's talking about it.
Now, Senator Kamala Harris is also being called out on her actions as San Francisco District Attorney, and critics are pointing to this clip from January of 2009.
I would not be standing here were it not for the education I received. And I know many of us will say the same thing. And I believe a child going without an education is tantamount to a crime. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. Well, this was a little controversial in San Francisco. And frankly, my staff went bananas. They were very concerned because we didn't know at the time whether I was going to have an opponent in my reelection race. But I said, look, I'm done. This is a serious issue, and I've got a little political capital, and I'm going to spend some of it. And this is what we did. We recognized that in that initiative, as a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. The school district has got a carrot. Let's work in tandem around our collective objective and goal, which is to get those kids in school. So, to that end, on my letterhead, now let me tell you something about my letterhead. When you're the DA of a major city in this country, usually the job comes with a badge. And there is often an artistic rendering of said badge on your stationery. So I sent a letter out on my letterhead to every parent in the school district, outlining the connection that was statistically proven between elementary school truancy, high school dropouts, who will become a victim of crime, and who will become a perpetrator of crime. We sent it out to everyone. A friend of mine actually called me and he said, Kamala, my wife got the letter. She freaked out. She brought all the kids into the living room, held up the letter, said, if you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail.
Yeah, so I think that's funny, but it's also kind of not funny. And her laughter about it to me is not funny because the justice system is just no joke. And the idea that you would equate something like a bad behavior to a criminal behavior to me is a big jump. I don't know what the outcome of that was. I don't know what happened to people. I could imagine that, once she was no longer DA, that the program ceased. I'm not sure, but
I guess I won't say how effective it was. Like if it was effective enough for her to, bring the kids in the living room, like, look, you little scrubs are getting to school on time. Like, I mean,
how late are we talking? Because I was in high school. I was about. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I was about at least 30 minutes to an hour late.
Well, no, I'm imagining it's the number of times. We know, Kyle, we know. I think it's probably the number of times. Like, I think they have limits about whether it's 3 times or 5 times over a semester, a certain amount of times, I think. I don't think it matters how late you are as much as how often you're late.
I mean, I guess it depends on the districts and who's in that district. I mean, if you're in a district where you know that it's a slew of single mothers and a lot of them are working 2 and 3 jobs, and there has to be a consideration for stuff like that. I don't think it should be excused, but I mean, if we're talking about 30 minutes an hour every day, yes. But if we're talking about 5 or 10 minutes and they're missing breakfast.
I mean, here's what I gotta. Yes, it should be something should be done, or yes, people should be prosecuted.
Like taken to jail?
Yeah, that's what that is. And then you get a record and you get a mugshot and you get to say hi to the local police department and a bail is set or not. Maybe you're released on your own recognizance, but
I think that's a two-way street.
Why?
I think that if you made it that dire to communities that really need to value education more at that level, we're not even talking about college, just to get you out of high school, to get you through middle school, it's not a bad thing because then it forces you to have a value on your child's education to give them a better future and not just let them waver and do things and not value getting out of at least high school. Reciprocally, like I said with the first example, if it's a neighborhood full of single mothers and the community in essence trying to raise the child and they're already struggling to get them there has to be some kind of weigh in for that kind of thing. I think it all depends on the district and who you're talking about and who's in that district. But yeah, I think it's sometimes, especially with us, you got to be extreme.
Well, I have a hard line with this is because what happens when you're prosecuted is that you go somewhere. And so if you are the only person who can take your child to school and now you cease to be a free citizen, then your child becomes an orphan. Ergo, your child has to go somewhere into the system as well. So now we've gone from having a kid who's late to school to having a kid who's living with 12 other kids in a JDH sort of a situation. Like great scenario, maybe the parent gets out immediately, released on their own recognizance, and now all they have is a little tiny criminal record to follow them around, which is not fun. I'm being sarcastic.
Well, I guess now that because I was raised in the country, but I live in the city, so people know that sometimes I do lift, sometimes for like case studies to really see what's going on, and I've actually had kids where their parents called the lift for them to get them to school And that's what they did. I think I had like 3 or 4 of those like a week ago. I was like, wow, they really like send a kid by themselves in a Lyft to school. Now that you have those options, and it was not expensive. Actually, I was kind of mad because I was like, this ride should have been longer because I need the money. But it was like $4 or $5 to get them to class on time in a Lyft, and the parents were not even with them. So I guess now that you have those options, and you can't say it's super expensive because you can always weigh Lyft or Uber to see which one is cheaper and use it. So do we really have 50,000 excuses like we used to? Because we can't say we don't trust people. There's satellites watching your child and the Uber or Lyft driver. So you can't say, well, I don't trust people.
Yeah, I don't
We're
think
not seeing a lot of that.
I
So
totally get that.
do we really have the same excuse?
I don't think it's about excuses. I think it's about what you're going to do about it. Like, because you're not going to put me. It's like there's a difference between, like I said, you really could do better versus you're going to jail. There's a difference, right? Like, one is bad, one is criminal. So it's one thing to say, yeah, you're messing up. It's another thing to say, well, now you're going to go to jail for it. Because really, what we're still talking about at the end of the day is the truancy of your own child. And parents in any situation that they're in have the capacity to make their child's life difficult. Whether it's they don't, I mean, in lots of different ways. And so to me, it's a sincere overstep, especially for someone who's a justice reform advocate and, supposedly understanding that we have mass incarceration. People go to jail for jaywalking. They go to jail for being too poor to pay a parking ticket. But they were too poor to pay the parking ticket, but now they're in jail, so now they're not working, so now they can't ever pay the parking. You know what I mean? Like, we have this poverty cycle when it comes to just putting people behind bars because it sounds like, well, you're just going to go to jail and sit down for a while.
Yeah, but reciprocally.
But really,
then,
you sit down long enough to lose your job, so then you're
But then
really
I think
poor.
about child support. The ideology that a man should go to jail if he does not take care of his child, which, by the way, he
I think
helped
that's
create.
wrong, too.
So, really?
Absolutely, 100%. I don't believe that you should put people in jail for any other reason than that they are a literal risk to public safety.
Well, I think he is a risk because he might have other kids he not going to take care of.
Oh,
Which puts more people on the welfare system.
No.
And so on
No,
and so forth. I think
no,
it's a lesson
no,
learned. I have
no.
2 women around me in my circle that the baby fathers are determined to do nothing in these kids' life.
Yeah.
I've watched them struggle.
That's
I've had to
true.
help out. So
That's true. But
why
when
shouldn't he go to
mothers,
jail?
when mothers are POSs, they don't have to go to jail.
I don't think there's a distinction. If they
There-
don't
there
pay child
is.
support and there's a court order.
No,
that
but
they're
I'm not talking about
supposed
child
to.
support. I'm talking about just being a POS parent, being a negligent parent, being a bad parent, being an absentee parent. You don't put the mothers in jail at all.
You don't really see mothers doing that.
Oftentimes, it happens a lot. In fact, a lot of grandmamas are raising their grandbabies because mothers are pieces of crap, and they don't. Those
I feel
mothers
that's
do
a
not go to
generalized
jail.
statement. So you say that women outnumber men?
You're talking about men who are pieces. I'm just saying when women are in that situation, they don't go to jail. They don't.
But which month they get a court order? If they have a court order that says you're supposed to pay child support to the male,
But they don't
because
give
he
that
has a
to the
child,
mother. Like when a grandparent or someone else takes over, they don't give the mother a court order that she just loses custody. That's very different.
Are we talking about third parties? Because I was talking about the mother and the father. We talking about third parties?
Yeah, mothers lose custody of kids too.
I
So
know
I'm
that,
saying that no, you should not be going to jail for something like that. Absolutely not. It's not. You're not a threat to public safety. You're not. Public safety is not procreation is not a risk to public safety. Like criminal act, dangerous activity is a risk to public safety. So we're too quick to call certain things criminal acts that are not criminal acts. Me being late to school is not a criminal act. It's a severe inconvenience, and it's one that I'll pay for in the future. Like kids always pay for their parents' mistakes in the future, always.
Yeah, but
it's
what
not
about-
a criminal act.
True, but reciprocally, what about the ideology of using the law to deter bad behavior? If the bad behavior is you impeding the education of your child because they're constantly 30 minutes to an hour late, and reciprocally, with the fathers and the child support thing, if you're constantly making it a point that you're not going to help support this child, and as a result, we're having to step in, and when I say we, I mean the government, have to step in and supplement to make sure this child is taken care of, using the prison system is as a deterrent. Can't we do that?
That's the problem. You're stepping in on something that doesn't need to be stepped in on. Now, when the child needs to have custody, that's very important. You want to find custody for children. But that's not the same thing as putting people behind. That does not help the child at all. Having a mother in jail does not help me if I couldn't make it to biology before. Well, now I have no parents. Like now I'm an orphan.
Yeah, but
how is that better for the child?
It's not going to happen that fast. I'm sure it's a pattern of behavior. Kyle, you know what? We're going to hold that thought. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, I want Kyle to chime in, and we're going to see what happens. So stick around with the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
That's why I love the moon. Every
for you. It's constant. Unlike these human beings who lie about what it seems to be. You think the earth is where you stand. You're in the palm of someone's hand. And that's why I love the moon. 'Cause it's always there for me. Every night about my window. And that's why I love the moon. 'Cause it's always there for me. Every single night I look outside. It's right there for me. In my mind. And that's why I love the moon, yeah. Because people can consume my love in the wrong way. So I send it up. And night, and night, and night. Real love so hard to find. Just when you think you found it, the illusions in your eyes, it blinds. So be careful where you look for love. Just be careful where you look for love.
All right, everybody, welcome back to this Friday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo Rice, and my correspondent,
Simone Cherie.
and
Andrew.
All right, so when we left, we were talking about, well, Simone likes to phrase things better than I do. What were we talking about?
We were talking about Kamala Harris' truancy policy. Her policy at the time as a DA for prosecuting parents if their children were truant, and whether or not that was
I want to see
morally.
I want to see, because we're debating off things that we don't have the specifics. So we don't know if it was 30 minutes an hour. We don't know if it was 2 hours. We don't know if it was consecutively late. We don't really know. But it segued us into using the law, in essence, to what's the word?
As a deterrent, using jail as
Well, that
a
was my
deterrent.
side, but yours was that it's not used for that. It should be used for actual crimes.
Yeah.
So Simone feels like the law should be used to put people in jail for crimes like murder or things that you shouldn't be on the street. I feel like using a jail term can be used as a deterrent from specific types of behavior that may not cause bodily harm, but mental or psychological harm. So I was using an example of negligent fathers and child support. You know, if you don't pay child support and it's court order and things of that magnitude, once it gets to a certain level, you get put in jail. Now, again, you're not getting put in jail for $20. You're getting put in jail because you're in arrear of like $3,000, $4,000. Meanwhile, the child is suffering and the mother's suffering because now she got to find 50,000 ways to bring in money to take care of the kids that you helped create. That's all I'm saying. But I want Kyle's opinion because he's the third voice today. So
Yeah.
what you got?
So as far as the being late tardy to school, I don't think that mothers should be, or fathers, whoever it may be, should be thrown in jail. However, I like the example that you gave of the credit score, but I think there should be some other kind of punishment.
Well, for them being late?
Jail or prosecution, yeah. Because like I said in high school, I was 30 minutes to an hour late all the time. But you should also have to think about how far they live from school. Because I went to school in Fulton County, but I lived in Cobb County.
Ew, why is that?
I don't
You know
know.
he went to a wealthy school.
I mean, you went to private school, don't count.
Here's the thing.
That was a choice. Your parents made the choice
So,
to
like-
send you to a private school
Right.
in another district. That don't count.
So
and
right.
then he was late all the time.
Exactly. So if my mom or my dad, if they were prosecuted for me being late, and I lived like 30 minutes away from school, that's not fair.
You don't count.
I
You
was
went
late
to
all the
you went to
time,
private
too.
school. You don't count. We talking about like public school
Well,
kids.
So I do have more details here. So, and it's not deep details, but she wrote a memoir. Kamala Harris wrote a memoir where she talked about this and defended it. And you even heard in the clip a little bit, she said that there's statistics proving that late kids tend to either become criminals or become victims of crime. And
Okay, that's a stretch.
she
I
talked
would
about, that's what she said. And she said that combating truancy is a smart approach to crime prevention. So to me, this is where I take the biggest issue. Crime prevention is a fallacy. It's like a fugazi. It's like a unicorn with rainbow striped.
I love unicorns.
It's ridiculous. You cannot prevent crime. You cannot. That is a joke.
What do you mean you can't prevent
cannot
crime?
prevent crime. You can prosecute crime after the fact, but you can't prevent it from occurring, just like you can't prevent anyone from doing whatever they want to do within their realm of power. You can't prevent people from treating you nicely. You can't prevent people from saying thank you after you've held the door open. You can't prevent it. This is not Minority Report.
I don't like prevent.
That's
that's
the problem.
I like the word
No.
deter. You can
No.
deter criminal behavior
But you can
by doing
also
certain
deter
things.
people from sustaining their employment because you've sat them down for something they haven't even done. Like, so right now we're putting parents in jail because if their 13-year-old keeps being late, we think he's going to become the next Ted Bundy. Like, you're creating a policy based off this prevention.
Okay, that was a
theory.
very extreme.
That's what
that was
she's.
a very
I
extreme.
think
Did she,
this is an
is that the
extreme
wording in there that
policy.
she said it might become the next Ted Bundy?
No, she said crime prevention, and she said that there are statistics linking truancy to future crime. So basically, I'm gonna take the thug out of you by putting your parent in jail. That's what she's basically saying she's trying to do.
That makes things worse.
It makes everything worse, and it's a false notion because you cannot prevent crime. You cannot do it. But here's one example she gave here was that she prosecuted 20 parents over this time. It was a misdemeanor. There was a fine for $2,500 or a year in jail if they could not afford that fine. She claimed that the strategy worked. She cited one child who responded to those pleas after his parents were served with a criminal misdemeanor offense. His parents had the $2,500. He only missed 3 days the next year, even though he had been missing over 20 on average.
What about
So
a fine?
great, $2,500 because we all have that laying around. Like, this is
It worked.
crazy. It did
It
not
worked.
work. For who?
He
For
went from
who?
20 days to
For
3.
who? Oh yeah, and that's real. Here's the thing.
Here's the thing. Do you value
crazy.
the education
I don't
of
value
small kids?
I don't equate education to attendance. There are some dumb people who graduate from school who never missed a day. There are people who are broke as heck who never missed a day. There are people who are wealthy who never went to school. Like, we are creating these ridiculous barometers for what success looks like. I was late all the time too.
Yeah.
I didn't even
How
be
late?
in class. I would go like Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
We
I would
talking
go to
about-
school.
We're talking about like high school down. We're not talking about anything above high
I'm
school.
talking about high school. I would go Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
How?
Yeah. I would go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Or maybe I would go in the
Was that
morning,
your
I leave for
schedule?
the afternoon. No, it was not my schedule. I was constantly gone. I skipped school constantly.
Did they send a social worker to your house?
Okay.
No, then send social worker to my home.
So your
Thank
school
God.
was negligent because how you just make your own schedule? So your school was negligent.
And I got in
so
trouble quite often.
we should be having a conversation about your
I
school.
got in trouble quite often. No, we should not.
Clearly it wasn't
Leave
enough to
my high
deter
school
your poor
alone. Leave
behavior.
my high school alone because I did great in college.
Clearly it was
Great.
not enough to deter your terrible
I
behavior
did
of making
great,
your own schedule
but
and
I
coming to
did
school when
great
you want
in
to.
college, and because I'm not even bragging.
Actually, no. What did you finish high school with? What was your GPA?
It was a 3. It was barely a 3.
That's
but
why
that
that's
was
why they didn't bother
because-
you.
Yeah. Well, see.
That's why they didn't bother you.
Well, there you go. There you go. So, she hasn't mentioned grades here. She hasn't mentioned.
But I'm sure. Look, let's not play this game. I'm sure she's talking about kids who have like 1.3s and 1.4s.
I hope. But here's the reality: we need to decide what is criminal activity and what is not. I encourage anyone who has not ever been to jail to just sit down for a little bit. Go to a jail, sit down in there for a day, enough to have to, shower, use the restroom, get your yard time or not. See what that's really like. I think you will learn very quickly. If our criminal justice system was set up in the right way about incarceration, you would not have people who had committed serial murders and cannibalism next to people who just bounced parking tickets. You wouldn't put those two people together, and we do all the time. So it is a place where I believe only actual dangerous people belong. And that's why I'm saying I think this is crazy. And I'm sure that she'll get past it. This is just, when you first announce your president, this is what they do. They dig for the stupidest stuff you've
It's
done.
the public opinion vetting process.
Yeah, but I mean, this is her record, so this is better than like finding out that she was like a stripper or like showed her butt. Like, I don't care about
Actually, nowadays, if she was a stripper, she probably would get the stripper vote, which is pretty big. So I you know what? In the old days, you'd be like, oh my God. And I actually had that conversation with somebody at the job that's, it's amazing to me because we had a former manager at my job. She is a stripper. And I mean, she's absolutely proud of it. Her Instagram is full of
Yeah.
it. She shows herself shaking it and twerking and them throwing dollar bills. In my day, if you were a lady of the night, then
That's not a lady of the night.
if you were a dancer of the night, you did not. Nobody knew. You had a 9 to 5 in the day. And, you put on your hook and heels at night. You went and did what you did. Nowadays, it's glorified because we see it from everything from love and hip hop to Instagram and Facebook. Like, and I even have a male in my Instagram who I didn't know is a stripper. I was like, and he's absolutely proud of it. I'm just like, wow.
Well, it's a very competitive industry. Like, you need to be in the right spot for that. It's just like if you want to be in pictures and you go to Hollywood. If you want to be a stripper, you probably go to Houston. You know what I mean? Or you go to Vegas.
Or you can stay in Atlanta.
No, there's some. But there's a Miami. I'm just saying there are hot spots and totem poles.
I saw an ad talking about strip joints this weekend. It was like, look, we know you in the city for the Super Bowl. Come on over here and throw them dollars.
It's work.
Down at the Magic City. And I was like, wow. So now we have commercials to promote stripping.
On TV?
I think it was on Facebook, but Facebook ads are just as important because people watch Facebook now too. I was like, there's actually ads for strippers on TV and on Facebook, because you might as well say Facebook is TV. I'm blown. I'm absolutely blown. I never thought I'd live to see the day that strippers could have commercials and be at the top of the totem pole.
Well, if you think about it, strippers on reality TV, they have top 10 songs on the top Billboard 100.
Yeah, they become Cardi B.
Cardi B and Nene Leakes was a stripper as well.
Yeah,
so
lots of people that we know and love. There's one more. There's one more candidate we should go into too. He's not a stripper.
Well, that's no fun.
No, I know, but I don't think you'd want him to strip anyway. So, former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz confirmed on 60 Minutes this week on CBS that he was considering a run for presidency, and then officially announced later in the day. He has a very interesting story. He's written a lot of books, and he's been a very high-profile business person because obviously Starbucks is part of the American,
Yeah, for y'all.
Something. Don't say y'all. Don't say y'all.
Don't you drink Starbucks?
That don't mean that I'm a part of the y'all. I don't know what that y'all is.
So now you're offended by y'all. You say to me all the time.
I am offended by it.
But you say to me all the time, well, y'all this and y'all that.
When I think Starbucks, to be honest, first of all, he's been a Democratic supporter for a long time. And when I think Starbucks, I think yoga and what's it called? Yoga. Hummus. And
what kind of linkage are you doing?
When I think Starbucks, I think that. I think people who like cats and
what?
I like coffee. I drink it black though. I don't do the whole. I'm
you think
not.
About people that like cats when you think about Starbucks and yoga.
I do. And I think about people who drive hybrids. They drive hybrid cars and they.
What kind of
they
what
recycle.
Kind of profiling are you doing right now?
I'm sure that's a thing. They recycle probably, right? And
No, because I know one of my coworkers is faithful with Starbucks. I can promise she don't recycle and she don't drive a hybrid. She's one of those people that park in handicap spots and
that's just
slap babies. Like slap babies. I'm just telling you, like that. Your profiling.
That's a hood booger. That's just what that is. But nationally, this is what it is. And young teenage girls in protests. I mean, that's just what I see when I see Starbucks.
Oh,
but all of that said, he's not running as a Democrat. He's running as an independent. His journey is not very typical of like these big CEOs that we read about. He was from Brooklyn. He's from the projects of Brooklyn. He's got lots of receipts for that. If you look into him, you'll see all of those things.
He's not African American, right?
No, he's not African American. So. But he does believe that both of the parties have become too extreme, which is something we talk about all the time. That there's just these two big extremes on either side, and a lot of us here, most Americans don't fit into those boxes, but most Americans aren't as eager to vote as the people who do. So we end up with these like crazy far right or far left sorts of candidates. And he, although he has been supporting Democratic candidates before, was running as independent. And he's been dragged for it pretty much since Wednesday. On The View, when he appeared as a guest, people were asking him, like, why are you running as independent? You're going to split the ticket. Whoopi Goldberg came down on him. Joy Behar came down on him. All over late night television, people have come down on him. He doesn't agree with a lot of the policies that Democrats are putting out, though. Like, he does not believe in abolishing the insurance industry. He does think we need to fix our healthcare system, but he does not want to just do away with insurance. He doesn't want to, create some sort of a single-payer system where we're going to cost the insurance industry hundreds of thousands of jobs. He's very critical of the president. He's nothing like the president whatsoever. He's given insurance to his employees, and he was the first real company to give insurance to like contractors and part-time workers and temp workers and stuff like that. Like Starbucks takes care of people for sure. And he kind of just wants to build off of that. I like that he's running as an independent. I think that
you'd be happy if your boy from Amazon ran for president too. You'd be like, oh my God, he's running for president. Yeah, everybody vote for him.
Well, I would prefer somebody else. I prefer Zuckerberg 100%. But the point is,
good grief.
The point is more so that like we do need to end the two-party system. It is garbage. It does force people to be competitive, and then we sit around and wonder why they can't get anything done. But it does not behoove them to get anything done. Like, if you're in the minority party and stuff can get done with you in the minority, then why would the country ever elect a Democrat as president? Clearly, y'all can be in Congress and play your role, and we can still get bills passed. So it actually defeats their whole purpose to work together because the system has two parties. I think the two-party system is very old, very stale. And in 2016, I think a lot of people agree with that because nobody was really excited about anybody. I mean, maybe you were, but most people were not excited about Hillary in general.
I'm not double R, so I didn't.
And a lot of Republicans, not his base, but a lot of other people voted for Trump just because he wasn't Hillary. So it's like people were like the lesser of two evils sort of thing.
And that's exactly what it ended up being.
And that sucks because we don't have enough people to vote for.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen very often. I mean, But
we
before that, we had, everybody was pretty excited about Barack. Actually, I remember praying to God and everybody else at that time about when Barack ran against Mitt Romney. I was like, he can't win. Like, I don't like anything he stands for. He makes me very nervous. If I knew Trump was coming down the line and I could have sacrificed Romney as a sacrificial lamb so that we wouldn't be here, I would have done it.
Right.
Now, that would have been a lesser of two evils.
You don't know what would have happened if we would have had even more people to choose from, period. Especially with you, Ricardo, because your views are not very democratic whatsoever. Like, you have...
How do you think?
They're just not. I mean, when it comes to economics and fiscal policy, yeah, you want everybody to share the whole pie and stunt their own success. But then, personally, you're very capitalistic and a little bit sharkish, right? So those don't match up. Then you don't believe in, or you have your feelings about abortion, but you very much support the idea that transgender people should be able to serve in the military because anybody who's willing to go should be able to serve.
I didn't say that.
You did. You said that.
I don't think so.
You don't think transgender people should be in the military?
I am not saying that. I'm not saying that.
I thought you specifically said whoever will go should go.
That was a draft. We were talking about drafting. But we talking about people voluntarily joining the military. I have some thoughts on that. We talked about that. When Erica was here, we talked about that. I was on the other side. Which we should do that again.
Okay.
Well, my thing with transgendered in the military is, and I based it off, I'm going to be honest, I based it off the episode they did on Orange is the New Black with Laverne Cox's character, and she was denied her medication, and it caused all kinds of ripples because she was accustomed to having her medication. When you're in the military, it's almost solely survival. There are certain medications that transgender people need, especially if they're going through the process, that they probably won't have access to once they put you in Afghanistan. I don't know if that's fair, because that's a part of your life. Like, there's certain medications they take. You're probably not gonna be able to get that, and plus there's psychological things that go into it. It's just a lot of stuff that goes into it. So I'm not comfortable with us saying, yeah, just let them go, without us doing the proper research to say this is their needs, because these needs are beyond what we typically think of when we think of a male or a female. Transgender people, a lot of them have other types of needs. So to say, yeah, just send them on to Afghanistan, let them fight. No, they have other needs that we need to make sure we can meet before we send them on a line and pretty much cut off everything and say, you're in survival mode.
That's fair.
We giving you a gun, you got to make it happen.
Yeah. You do realize that's a pro-Trump position, though. I'm just saying. So my point is, you're not very democratic in all your boxes. Like, that's the Trump policy that you support, sir.
What you want from me right now.
I'm just saying, it's the Trump policy you support, and you don't want Trump to win again. So most people are divided along some line between these two parties because they have to take totally opposite sides, even when it doesn't make sense for them. With the Kavanaugh situation, you very much felt like Brett Kavanaugh was treated unfairly. I felt very similarly, especially in the beginning when Christine Blasey Ford became a hero before we even knew if she had a valid claim. You were one of very few Democrats who had anything negative or suspicious to say about that woman. I'm just saying. So we need more options. And
wait, because I'll have to make sure you be saying, because you be saying stuff I don't say. And I don't remember how you remember this stuff. I don't remember what I say from day to day. Now, repeat that again.
I pay attention.
Clearly.
During the Kavanaugh situation, you felt like he was treated very unfairly, especially before he had his chance to have his testimony. For a couple of weeks.
I feel like public
people
opinion.
believed Christine immediately. They said that they made her a hero and this brave woman, and she's so strong. And we don't even know if she's telling the truth yet. But she was, the shero of the year. And by the time Kavanaugh came along, because he was a little pissed off, he was dragged and called all kinds of names, and you thought that was unfair. I thought that was unfair.
Okay, I did say that. Okay. Carry on. I agree.
I'm just saying, we need more options, and ultimately what this is going to cost is a sacrificial lamb. I don't know if it's going to be this one or the next one, but for the two parties to split, we have to have a field of more options. Like we have to. So as long as we're going back and forth with like what Joy and Whoopi were saying, because we referenced The View, which is just this archaic perspective that like we just can't do it. It just won't work. It will if you just if you just do it. Like if you just activate, it can happen. It's
Yeah,
not a law somewhere.
But the fear is, and I say this all the time when I use the example about this table that we all sit at, and every day I feel like this table is getting longer and longer and longer, and we need more place settings to place in front of everybody that sits at the table. Now we got to change the menu because we got 15 different palettes. I agree.
We do, though.
I agree that the presidential, the two-party system is a bit much, and maybe the introduction of a third system, I could kind of get there, but anything beyond a third party would just be too much, because then you're just inviting too many opinions in, and you're talking about not getting anything done. Invite 6 or 7 people to that field and see what happens. Like you're not gonna get anything done for real.
It's possible, but in England they do it all the time. In Great Britain,
England has been doing that for decades.
Yeah.
We will be starting from scratch.
We're a younger country.
And
everything's newer. Everything's newer, but that doesn't mean that we don't do anything.
There lies in the problem, because it's like having a 2-year-old and you giving a 2-year-old the option of 5 things. They be like, "Oh, I like that," but then I like that. Oh, I like this.
That's how it is now. Look at our president.
No, it's not, because we
look
like,
at our president.
No,
that is who
no,
he is.
it
now.
is not, because we have a 2-party system.
Yeah.
And even though you might not agree wholly with both of them, you still have to choose between the two of them, so something gets done. It may not be everything as much. The agenda may not be as full as we would like. We may not get as much stuff passed as we probably would like.
No.
But offer in 4 or 5 more opinions and see what really happens.
It may work, because the thing is, there are countries that focus more on issues than parties. Like George Washington didn't even want parties. He was very much against just that idea. He said, if you want to run for something, you run for something, and people will actually be forced to read a little something. Like even now when people vote, and as much as we talk about voting, even people who are political analysts or whatever, like Meghan McCain gives her so much credit for, she'll also say like, well, yeah, but then I go and I vote for the Republican. Like, we vote for whoever party we associate with, and that just continues to allow us to be illiterate and just apathetic. And then we go around and we complain about it, and also those Republicans and those Republicans. You don't even know the people that aren't in your party because you don't watch them. You don't know how they move. Cory Booker, supports insurance companies and gives them all this money. Kamala Harris clearly was locking away parents, and she's telling you that she's a justice reformer. We would know more of this stuff.
So
we would know more if we had to read and figure out what people stood for.
Stay there. You do realize when you say we, because you are African American, when you say we, I think I have to remind you that sometimes. When you say we, the ideology of letting people vote for whoever, it's still going to fall down to the people that are more informed, the people who are more into it, which again is going to be reflective of the gap that we already know exists. So what's going to happen is you're going to fastly return to segregation, because the people that read are not the vast majority of minorities.
Whoa!
I'm just saying.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
I'm just saying.
And that is
the vast majority. The status quo.
Wrong.
The status quo is not going to read. We still try to
get
get people to vote.
How literate do you believe Trump's base is? They are not a college-educated voter demographic. That's not how he won.
But they can be unified, and they
we can't be unified?
Are we really going to say that? Can we be unified?
I'm asking you. Yeah, we vote 96% alike. We're the only race that votes so close alike. The only race. Every other race is more split. Even Hispanics are like 60-40.
Yeah, but they're more informed.
We're 90-10. They're more informed. They don't speak English.
Hey, they speak Spanish to each other. They're more informed.
My point is, we are totally unified as a political, racial voting bloc. Like 96% of the time, we vote exactly the same way.
Then why could we get Abrams elected?
There weren't enough of us to get Abrams elected.
But we unified.
Yeah, we were. I think most black people supported Abrams. But you're saying you're saying we're not unified in our vote. We definitely are unified in our vote. And we can read. I can read. I'm a black woman. I can read.
I'm almost a doctor. I can read.
Okay.
So but I'm just saying, we're not the status quo.
I think that's not true.
I don't believe that.
That's not true. Illiterate people are the status quo, period. People who are illiterate are a very, very small minority. And even a small minority within minorities, that's just not true.
So
what it would force everyone to do is to have to pay attention, which people do not do.
Now, you just said you don't believe in force to get things done. But now you're saying we should force people to get involved.
No. I'm not forcing people to get involved. What I'm saying is people would have to if they wanted to see anything done. They wouldn't be able to just go in there and go this, because we wouldn't be categorizing people. We wouldn't do that. So you'd have to do some research. You could just say, okay, this person, this person, this person. I think it would be healthy. And frankly, that's the only way you're going to get away from having like a Trump on one side and like a Green Party, whatever on the other side. That's the only way to get away from it.
Is to offer up 3 or 4 more options.
Is to get rid of the two-party system. So basically it's like, okay, we'll get the votes that you can get, and then you have to make your case, and the people have to follow your case and make a decision that way. But George Washington, I think, was completely right when he said the two-party system is going to lead to competition. And basically we all complain about the fact that no one can get anything done because the people we're electing, it doesn't help them to get elected to do their job because they want to be in power. So if they are effective right now, they won't get elected next time, if that makes sense. Like, if that basically makes Trump look like a good leader. If the Democrats do what Trump wants them to do, if the Democrats do anything and the system is working and everything's oiling fine, then people will never have another Democratic president. There's no logical reason for it. They would make Trump look great. Trump will say, look at all the stuff I've gotten done under my... So Democrats have no reason to want to work with him. Same thing with Obama. Republicans are like, I'm not going to work with him because anything we do, he's going to get the credit for as president. So we can't have a party system if we're going to have effective government. It's literally illogical.
All right, so on that note, I'm going to come back in on that one. But on that note, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we have more with this and other topics on the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
I was born a water baby, swimming with these times, the grooves that turn the gray to sunshine. 'Cause I will live through days that break me, swimming with these times, the grooves that turn the gray to sunshine.
I'm still trying to write the story as I see it. The trouble is when I say it, they don't believe it. They reckon I only say it, but I don't mean it. I'm trying to tell them I only say it if I can feel it. 'Cause money's tight, maybe tighter than it was before. I'm helping out on a mortgage I really can't afford. Family breaking north, I covered the trips abroad. Shaking up, making another loss on another tour. But what I done it for? To see my mother in the sun abroad. Outrunning the trouble that was coming for. My little brother got the hunger for. All the exact same pain that makes the rain in my stomach pour. So let me paint it broader. This for any dude who's got a daughter. Living off lines like your papa taught her. Ain't got no time to be coming for you. Go with the flow with this, run the water. Go with the flow with this. Go with the flow with this. Go with the flow with this.
Don't you worry, two leaves won't grow the same, and people might forget your name. Doesn't matter if they do. Don't you hurry, when the hot coffee pours will stain, and when the Uber left you in the rain, your time will come around to you. Despite the stress of spending so much time alone, 'cause this geography is keeping me at home when I don't know the way to go. I move with the flow of this running water, this running water. 'Cause I was born a water baby, swimming with these times, the grooves that turn the gray to sunshine. 'Cause I will live through days that break me, swimming with these times, the grooves that turn the gray to sunshine.
Go with the flow with this, run the water.
to stay south of the river with the chains and the gold. We could be out here together, but you had places to go. Watching the sunshine lace the gray. I don't know why you wouldn't stay. You should come south of the river, where the loving is gold. You should come south of the river. This is where it all starts. I think that we could stay here forever, lie on the roof till it's dark. And when the last bus pulls away, I swear that I almost heard you say I should move south of the river. I want to get to know. I want to get to know. I want to stay south of the river.
All right, everybody, we are back on this Friday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo Rice, and my correspondent,
Simone Cherie.
Kyle Andrew.
All right, so when we left, we were talking about a host of things. You know, Simone just likes to argue with me for the heck of it, which is fine. 'Cause
I don't
actually,
mean
it's
to.
fine. She just want to go back and forth. I'm actually impressed. I'm going to have to give her a promotion. I don't know to what. Because the fact that she remembers what I say when I don't even remember what I say, it's quite impressive.
It's just your views, just because I'm continually astounded.
What? What? I don't understand. What do you, I feel like you had this ideology that I'm some holy roller who believes in like these god awful things that I just do not believe in. I mean, I don't know what you get. I don't know what you got this one from.
I just presumed, 85+% of the African American population that you were Democratic, and maybe very Democratic, because Atlanta is a very liberal city.
I mean, I still consider
Just
myself
so
a
wrong.
Democrat.
Just
but
wrong. Just wrong.
I still consider myself a Democrat, but I mean, you know. Anyway.
We can talk about that later.
Anyway. All right, Kyle, what you got?
All right, so with the Super Bowl being in the city this weekend, the Rams and the Patriots. So this guy, he wanted 10 Super Bowl tickets, and he bought them for $50,000. But he's now saying, he told 11 Alive News that he can't find the guy who sold him the tickets. So that kind of goes with what we talked about last week with the Fire Festival with Billy McFarland. And so some people are on the internet are saying that they should probably contact Billy McFarland or his associates or Ja Rule. We can also.
The internet is so rude.
So,
I don't.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Internet is undefeated.
Yeah, but my thing is when you come to Atlanta is like the home of schemers. You know that people get their players here and their hustlers. I think you look.
I
At
think
kinda,
New York.
That's very true. But
Well, I
Atlanta's
mean,
like number 2.
But the question is, I need the specifics on how this went down. Like, did he use Cash App? Did he use PayPal? Did he give him his credit card? I don't understand how you get taken. See, this is yet another prime example of people with too much money. People with too much money and too much free time. Those of us who actually work really, really, really hard for our money, we're not willing to just give it up because you said you got tickets to the Super Bowl and you charging us $10,000. You have to go through 50,000 hoops to get. You have to go through 50,000 hoops to get $200 out of me, let alone 10,000 a tick. Too much free time and too much money. I don't care what nobody say, because if you work hard for your dollar, you're not easy to give it up. And this is your residual income, and you can replace it really easy.
Until you look at the Beehive. And the Beehive are not wealthy. There are a lot of people living 6 and 7 to a 2-bedroom apartment.
What do you mean,
get
look at
those
the Beehive?
Beehive tickets and pay thousands for Beyonce.
Beyonce fans.
Thousands.
Yeah, but they at the
this
tier,
is their Beyonce. If you're a sports fan, Super Bowl, yeah. It's that serious.
$10,000 a ticket,
It's that serious.
and you don't ask any questions. You don't ask any questions. No, you're not gonna make a case for this, Simone. You don't ask any questions. Again, you're not gonna make me believe this is not somebody that has a lot of money and a lot of free time.
They may not have a lot of money.
They ballin'.
It's the desperation. It's the desperation.
What?
It's the fandom. It doesn't mean you have any money, unfortunately.
Simone, we're not talking about $200 a ticket.
Yeah.
We talking about $10,000. Bruh, you have a lot of free time and a lot of money. So his gripe is that he
that was
couldn't.
like $50 to him though. We don't know who he is.
So
or what he
again,
does.
somebody with a lot of money and a lot of free time.
Thank you, Kyle. Yes, let's defend this nameless victim.
Actually, we ain't got to defend him. We need to get his name, because I got a fire-breathing dragon in the backyard. I can sell it
It's an ongoing
for 20
story.
bones.
So I'm definitely gonna keep looking
That's
at
all.
I got a fire-breathing dragon in the backyard. I'll sell him for $10,000. He can get his money back off him. He can sell him to the Universal Soul Circus. He can sell to one of the freak shows. I have a fire-breathing dog in the backyard. I'll sell him for $10,000. He ain't even got to worry about a Super Bowl. So he said he's mad because he never got the tickets.
They
this is what
weren't
it says.
tickets, were they?
He says there are no tickets, and allegedly the seller is missing. So I don't know how he came and got in contact with the guy. It might have been something online.
I think I've seen the story. He was a businessman, I think, this guy, or he poses one. Like, and it looks like an actual business. I don't think it was just like, hey, I'm a scalper, like outside an event sort of thing. I think he actually set up like a fake shop on like virtually. So people really thought this was a thing.
I can't be mad at him. I mean, if people that gullible don't want to do their research.
Well, now he's gone. And good luck getting to Mexico,
If it's
because
not-
we cracked down on the border. I don't know where he's going.
I don't know.
To Canada. Hey, you try Canada.
If it's not Ticketmaster or NFL.com or Mercedes-Benz-Stadium.com,
There you go.
I don't understand.
There you
Or
go.
if that little
Stick to
green
the-
bar doesn't
Yeah.
show up that says the privacy thing that shows up in the box, I'm not giving you that much money. But y'all not gonna make me believe. I go back to my stance. You're not gonna make me believe that this is not a person with too much money and too much free time. I'm not giving you $10,000 without doing my due diligence. I'm just not.
Here's the thing. I thought this was a hacking thing when I skimmed it. I didn't read it deep, but I thought it was about hacking. I was watching a documentary about hackers this past week on Viceland, and it talked about, especially in Russia, because it's like a culture, and everyone can do it. It seemed like. And they put these front websites up that you will think you're somewhere, but you're not actually there. And if you go to like a Starbucks or you go anywhere in public, it'll have like a hotel's name and it'll say hotel guest or school guest or lobby guest. And they use like guest as like people will just use that thinking it's for them. But it's like it's a network that they use to like hack into your Chrome and your browsers and everything that you've got. It's not actual Wi-Fi. So now you need to make sure you know exactly what the Wi-Fi is that you're supposed to have. Don't just go on Starbucks and use Starbucks guest, because you could be wrong. I'm just saying, I thought that's what this was. And I was like, this is super intelligent. Like, let me figure out who's going to NFL.com and put up a front site and just get their money.
I mean, at this point, you can put one of them little things that redirects you to my site. So look, today, I'm going to change my. Wait, is it too late? Are they still? Oh, actually, this is when people are really desperate. So I'm going to put up my site. I'm going to change it and let it redirect you from the NFL site to my site. And I have 10 tickets that I'm selling for $20,000. And your name will be on the guest list, and you don't have to worry about it when you get there. By then, I will be in Mexico in those tunnels.
Oh, by then you'll be
making
in
my
the
way to
tunnels?
Panama or something.
You
I'll
would
be
never.
in the tunnels.
You would never.
Doing what I got to do. I'm just saying.
It's too dirty for you. You would never. I could never. I want to see it.
I'm just
I want to
saying.
see you go through a tunnel.
Look,
to get to
if
Panama.
I can get the money, and I can go to Fire Island or something, I'm about that life.
Man.
Everybody else doing it.
That's a dangerous place to have some money right now.
Everybody
Mexico,
else doing it.
Get your throat slit.
Actually,
no.
me and Ja Rule.
No, they're in too much trouble. I'm not going to Mexico.
Me and Ja Rule can make this happen. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, y'all both need to get out. So that's Super Bowl, I think, I was downtown yesterday all day. I had back-to-back meetings, and it was crazy downtown.
I'm
Like,
not
it
even
was
going
nuts.
remotely close to downtown.
I couldn't believe. I knew it was gonna be fun, but
it's fun. I was
Right.
in Centennial Park yesterday. It's fun. I took the
Yeah.
train. I didn't like that part.
You took a train?
I took a train.
You took a train?
You. We had this conversation before. He
well,
hasn't
no,
even
I
taken the
love
train.
how down to earth you are, Kyle. 'Cause,
Like,
Consider the fact that we have a celebrity sitting on a rich celebrity sitting here across from me. You should be the boss. I mean, maybe we should
No,
switch seats
no,
and you be
no,
over here one
no.
day. Actually, we
No.
should do that. We should switch seats one day because Simone does it, and you be in the main seat. Actually, it is about that time. How long you been on the show?
It's been about 5 months now. But
Oh,
if you think I'm ready for
yeah.
it,
It's about that time for you to be
Yeah.
in the main seat.
I think so too.
You
And he
agree,
gets-
Simone? I think it's
I think so too. Especially
no time
'cause
like the
he's about
present.
to-
So, on
Disgusting.
next week, you can pick either Monday or Friday. You're in the main seat. And me and
Okay.
Simone and Derek will be on the other side. And
All
you
right.
do know what the requirements of that is, right?
I have to basically plan the whole show, all right?
Yeah.
You have to at
Yeah.
least be able to moderate
And air control.
everything.
Okay.
Yes. So actually, that'll be your final project.
Okay.
Is to run the
Awesome.
show, and the three of us are gonna critique it, and we're gonna see where you stand.
Okay.
So everybody, there it
Yeah.
is. Kyle will be in the main seat either Monday or Friday of next week. His choice, which actually be Friday. Well, you
Friday.
can choose.
Yeah.
But he'll be in the main seat, and the rest of us will be on the other side. So,
Yeah, man.
oh, I'm excited. That'll be fun. Yes, that's
really
gonna be
will.
really fun. We're gonna see what you learned.
All right.
This is what we do in the internship program of the Leadership Blend
That
Media Company.
development.
We make sure that you're learning and growing. And if you're interested in an internship, hey, go on over to ricecommunity.com.
Plug.
We have the application and everything. Why we out there? Shameless plug. I mean, why not? Just throw it out there.
Kyle, Kyle had more entertainment for us. He had a situation with the Empire actor.
Oh yeah, so earlier this week, Jesse Smollett, he was on a late night flight. He landed in Chicago and he went to a sandwich shop. And when he was leaving the sandwich shop, he got attacked by two Caucasian men, and they were calling him homophobic slurs and racial slurs. They were even chanting "Make America Great Again." They physically abused him, and they wrapped the news called it a rope, but we know what it actually was.
A noose.
Exactly. But he was able to walk himself to the ER. There is a picture of him online. Actually, he was on FaceTime with Lee Daniels, and Lee Daniels thought it was appropriate to post it. I guess he got his permission. I don't know. I would have thought that was uncool. But
Well, they cool like that because Lee Daniels is executive producer of Empire.
yeah. But I guess I would. I mean, if that was me, I would want to post my own picture. But that's cool. But I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the issue. Here's the issue with this. As they investigate it more and more, it's starting to look a little fishy. I had questions when I first heard it. So I'm like, okay, in real life, Jesse Smollett is gay in real life. He makes no qualms about it. So why are you walking to Subway by yourself at all? You're a super celebrity. You know this. Why would you be walking to Subway by yourself? That was my first. That was my immediate question. So you don't have nobody, no bodyguards, even they sitting in the black cars driving beside me. Like your Empire is huge. That was my first question. Number two was apparently they're raking all the footage in that area and can't seem to find the footage. That's my
I think
second.
They've got
They have
something
issue.
finally.
But they were
Finally-
saying now they're putting out, trying to get people to get involved because they can't seem to find what they need.
I was gonna say I know they got two aerial photos from the buildings, but I don't know if they've got like close-up details to see who the two men are. But they can see them. Like there's footage of them being released where you can see them walking up the street. And a neighbor, it was reported this morning, a neighbor saw the men, and she's gonna give a description. It was around 4 a.m, I think. I can't remember. But she saw them floating around.
It's just not adding up to me. Then apparently they wanted to get his phone, which he refused to give them his phone. Something about talking to his manager or something like that. It's just not making a lot of sense.
What
to
do you
me.
think happened? Like, what are you saying or insinuating?
I'm not really sure yet. I don't.
I mean, we see the bruises on his face.
I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen any pictures. They have
There's
pictures.
bruises,
I didn't see
yeah.
pictures.
There's bruises on his
They
face.
also poured bleach, an unknown chemical substance which is believed to be bleach on his face. So
I don't. It shouldn't be this hard to me. Like to get the footage and get your phone and it should not be this hard to me. If you say this happened
Well, his
and
phone's
people
not
have
gonna prove
seen it.
anything.
Well, I mean, but I'm just saying if that's what they say they need to get the investigation done, I don't see why that's an issue. But it's just not flowing to me. I don't understand why it's this hard to get what they need. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like it's almost like the Kavanaugh thing. It just doesn't add up to me.
Well-
I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Well,
I'm just saying.
His face was. They have footage of his face being bruised, and they have footage of and cut up and stuff, and his lip is swollen, and they have footage of 2 men hanging around his building who are Caucasian. There's just no footage of what happened after that.
Which is just weird to me.
Why? Like, the only other alternative, like what? Like a ghost came out of the nowhere and beat him to death or whatever?
Okay, so riddle me this. In a world where at any given moment somebody pulls out their cell phone, any time of the day, any time of night, any time of morning, people are usually out and about doing something. Somebody's out and about.
Not at 1 a.m. on a weekday, not necessarily.
He was not the only person that was hungry for a sandwich, I assure you.
I go plenty of places where I don't see anybody else. Plenty.
So the man is outside on the sidewalk getting assaulted, and nobody sees it. Nobody pulls out a cell phone.
We don't know that no one saw it, but yeah, maybe nobody said anything. The woman who said she saw them was in her home. She wasn't going to leave her home to do anything.
In an age where you can't hide anything because everybody has a cell phone and everybody wants to be the next person to break a story, and nobody's in the facility to pull out a phone or help them.
I think you're overestimating the activity.
I think we're underestimating.
No, everybody doesn't see everything, and even the footage they have that came from buildings who paid for it, but all buildings don't pay for it. Like in New York, they have a thing now where on every corner there's a camera, and they pay a lot of money for that. But a lot of places aren't like that.
I just find it very unlikely that nobody was walking around with a cell phone and saw
at
somebody
1 a.m.
getting beat
on a
up.
Weekday. That happened. There's a lot of people who don't walk around.
Jussie
Smollett lives in a decent neighborhood. People don't just walk around
But
at
does
night.
he live in Chicago?
We specifically moved to places where people don't walk around at night.
I think he was visiting his Chicago apartment. And I mean, that's probably why he didn't have security with him like that. And I don't think like he's that. I mean, actors walk around all the time without security.
They really do, especially in places.
He's
1 o'clock in the morning to go get a sandwich from Subway.
He's relatively.
They walk around all the time.
I met him before. He's relatively normal. It's just,
a lot of people are.
Honestly, I wouldn't notice him.
I don't like going to Subway at 1 o'clock in the morning by myself, and I'm not even.
I'm just a semi-celebrity. I was gonna say this is probably just you.
I'm a semi-celebrity.
I literally walk around all the time in places where I don't see anybody else, and I go to places. I try to live in places where people don't just make it a habit to hang. Like I prefer to be the biggest loiterer or public nuisance in my neighborhood. And people would not do anything if they just saw something going on all the time.
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying it just seems really weird to me. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's weird that was your first thought too.
What?
You said that was your first thought. I think that's very weird.
What? My first thought was, why did he have security? That was my first thought.
Yeah, that's weird.
Why?
Most people's first thought is like, dang, that's terrible. It is.
Well, I'm sorry if I'm analytical by nature. I'm
that's
like,
just how
you don't really hear. First of all, weren't we all caught off guard when you heard the whole story about them hanging a noose, and that caught me off guard. Period. So then immediately my first question was, why didn't he have security?
Well, I was caught off guard because I couldn't believe that it happened to him, not because I didn't believe that it could happen. And like when this happens with police officers and African Americans, so much of my frustration with the country's dialogue is that there's always people who are like, what did he do? What didn't he do? How did this happen? What happened before this video? Maybe it's a video of you just see a whole bunch of officers lining somebody up and trying to stop him, and then they just shoot him. And the first thing somebody thinks is like, where was the beginning of the video? The fact that that's your first thought is unsettling to me, not yours, but in general. I think the first thought should always be like, this is really terrible, this is really bad. Not, well, how did we get here? Because we don't know what happened before these 2 men were walking around in the street, but that to me is kind of like the second piece. The first piece is that this was a racist, homophobic attack. And they clearly knew who he was, which is like a whole nother level of a thing. Because if you know about his sexuality, you probably know he's famous, which means that you're really bold. Because there are a lot of no-name people that you could harass, and this is somebody who's very high profile who cannot escape harassment like this. This is just assault. I thought when they said attack, it was a verbal assault. I didn't know that they actually put their hands on him until the photo.
Like I said, I haven't even seen the photos, so I didn't know it was photos. But to your point though, the question becomes, why do we have to ask those kinds of questions? Because what happens, and we see this all the time, somebody will post a video of something, and people immediately become outraged, and then 20 minutes later, you get the whole video, and you're like, that's not even what that meant. How we even... People have gotten to the point where they're doing that now, where they're cutting out excerpts and showing what they want us to see and making it go viral. And then you find later on, oh my God, this was actually, somebody else actually was the victim in this video. It wasn't even you, but you gave us what you wanted. It's that controlling the narrative thing. You gave us what you wanted us to get from it. Now we know the truth, but we don't assassinate this poor person's character. Like, that's become the opposite side of us knowing everything at every given moment. The power of the internet. So now we have to ask those kind of questions. Well, wait a minute. Before we get angry, let's find out what happened before. Because, homeboy probably might have robbed a liquor store. And he got caught. And he got beat up in the streets. But he robbed a liquor store. We don't know.
But is it more plausible that a millionaire is going to rob a liquor store or be harassed by some Trump supporters for
How
being
we
gay?
get to a millionaire? Are we talking about
Yeah.
him specifically? Oh, I thought
Yeah.
I thought in general terms. I know we were talking about specific.
No, but I'm just saying, like, that to me is like the situation should warrant the level of skepticism. A situation where someone is shot in the street 41 times or 14 times, to me, those sorts of questions don't really get asked. Because no matter what happened before that, there's a level of escalation that there's just no excuse for. So to me, when there's like violence for the most part, those questions don't really come into play because whatever happened before didn't result in any other bruises or any other bodily harm to anybody else that I've seen. So
well, then also to try to grapple with something like this can make a lot of people really scared because it's like, okay, well, we thought these days were kind of long gone. Mm-hmm. So the mere fact that they're not long gone, what did he do? Hopefully he did something because if he did something, then it's like, oh, okay.
That makes more sense to me. And that's more dangerous than the racism itself. Is people's? There are a lot of people who are in a lot of denial about the way things are, and they want so badly to put the pieces together that they are actually like minimizing the fact that someone just got, mobbed on, like literally in practically 2020.
Well, I mean, but
who makes millions of dollars and can't escape it. So it's like
look
that's
at it though. So I mean,
ugly to me.
We've gotten to a place, and I say this all the time. We've gotten to a place where we're not safe at a movie. We're not safe at church.
No.
We're not safe in school. We're not safe anywhere.
Nope.
So the ideology that somebody on Jesse's level can walk out and be that accessible to be brutalized like that. It's like, what does that say for those of us who don't have money? It's like, okay,
you should be very worried.
So I think we do kind of try to grapple to hold on to some sense of, well, I can at least, walk down my street and be okay. So when stuff like this happens, it's like, well, please tell me he did something before this, because if he didn't, that just means somebody randomly chose him, beat him, like this, did what they did and left him. Like,
we should choose to be realistic and honest and scared or worried if that's your honest feeling rather than skeptical of something that's just very clear. We shouldn't be putting two and two together to make five in a lot of these situations. Like, it is like that, and it is that worrisome. And when you go to school, you could be the next bombing on TV. If you go to the movie, you could be the next bombing in the movie theater. You really could.
I think about these things all the time. Whenever I go to the movie theater, I look at the exits. When I was
Who
in
you
class,
telling?
I always sit next to the exit. But one of my friends was like, "Well, what if the shooter comes in with next to the exit that you sit next to?" I was like, "Well."
It's possible too. I don't go to Pride for that exact reason. I just don't want to go there, and I know that this is still the gay capital of the South. So I don't go to Pride for that specific reason. I also didn't go to. It was called the Black Gathering, something like that. There was like a Black Gathering last year. It was in December or November timeframe where it was just going to be a whole bunch of Black people getting together. It was called the Blackout, the Black Gathering, and I said, "Well, that is a prime target. I'm not going." That was my first thought. I was like, "That's the first place that a Klansman would go. I'm not going." Yeah. And so I think about it all the time. And clearly it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're going to Subway, it could be you. But I'm just saying we got to be careful with being so skeptical when the stuff is just clear. Because, that's what they do in the courtroom when they go back and forth about, no. Like, morally, we should just know and just leave it at that.
I don't know. Like I said, that just...
But if you look at the footage, you'll see.
Well, they have footage?
Oh. Yeah, they have photos. What they don't have is videos of the whole attack, but they have photos. They just don't have videos of the whole attack. But on a side note, Atlanta was talking about doing this. It would be a $200 million project, basically putting video cameras on every corner. I just got a dash cam in my car this past year because the stuff I see when I drive is insane, and I just don't. I need receipts, basically. So I don't like the idea of being watched. Like, a lot of people protested that thing in New York when it happened, when they unrolled the body camera law, the street camera law. It's like England right now, where in England there's nowhere you can go that there's no camera. And really, when it comes to like your legal defense, those cameras make a huge difference. In the murder of the 15-year-old we were talking about like a couple months back, it was in New York, and the whole thing was caught on video several different times, several different angles. All 16 people who stabbed that little boy to death are all incarcerated right now because it was all on video. It's a very expensive investment for a city to make. I don't know if Atlanta's going to make that anytime soon, but I got a dash cam in my car, and I want a body cam on my body. I want receipts for everything because I mean,
you about us being careful, being skeptical.
I want receipts.
if I tell you what they can do. Atlanta can take the money they're trying to get out of Lyft and Bird and all that extra money and invest it in street cameras. There you go. You ain't even have to think about it. Keisha, you even got to think about it. There you go. Take the money that we get from Lyft and Bird and all of them and invest in all this stuff.
Right.
We don't have to worry about it. There you go. I've made that easy for you. Put me in your cabinet. I'm good. We got this. See how easy that was?
That way you don't have to worry about if your neighbors are going, because clearly people don't always record, especially the neighborhoods I live in. People would run the other way. They would not stick around to record anything. It's just, that's the suburbs. People run for problems.
I don't even know my neighbors, so that's...
Right.
I mind my business.
If the streets had video cameras, you wouldn't have to worry about who was around to...
Well, I'm going to tell you now, if something happens to me in my neighborhood and my neighbors see when I'm done getting beat up or whatever, I'm coming to each one of y'all doors, I'm kicking it in, and we going to war. We supposed to be a community.
You just said you don't know your neighbors.
So
they're gonna say, "Where was you when I got mugged last week?"
I expect human decency. If you see me getting beat up in the street,
would you do
and
that
you know it's not? Yes, I would. If I saw something serious happening, either I'm gonna call the cops or something. But I'm not gonna let you get beat up in the street and just leave you there, or at least have the decency to come pick me up, call 911, or at least attend to my bruises, sit with me until the ambulance gets there. So either you aid in me getting beat up, or you aid in my me being taken care of until you call the ambulance to come pick me up. If you don't do either one, we going to war. When I get better, I'm kicking in every door around me. I don't care if you don't know me. It's human decency. It is the expectation. And when I can now no longer expect you to have my back, when you see me getting beat up in public, we got some problems. We got beef. And I'm coming to your house.
Something to be said about that.
And I'm sitting on your car, and I'm waiting. You come outside so we can have a conversation. So you just got, like, you see me get beat up in the street right there the other day, and you didn't call the police or call the ambulance or nothing. You didn't bring no Band-Aids, no alcohol, no nothing.
The most I would do in a situation like that is call the police, but I'm not leaving my house, especially if we don't speak.
I'm not leaving my.
Like if the most we do is wave at each other across the street.
But look, okay, but this was outside, like walking around the street. Like he was just in a public area. And Lysandra Guzman Feliz, the 15-year-old who was killed by those 16 people, like stabbed outside, there was people who walked by. Some of them had nurse scrubs on and just walked by. And to me, that was like so crazy to see all the bystanders who were just like either in the vicinity or who kind of saw what was going on, but they all kept it pushing because they didn't know it was about to pop
but nobody called the police. I mean, that's fine.
No one called the police. He walked himself to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Well, wait a minute. Where are we talking about again?
This was in New York. I don't know what area of New York, but he...
Because I'm about to say, now wait, if it's certain areas where gang activity is very high, they might have thought they was getting initiated.
Well...
So if that's the case, I mean, if that's...
So you just didn't call the police because, I thought it was a gang initiation?
If I thought it was a gang initiation and homeboys trying to get in the Crips or the Bloods, and we all know that's what the initiation
is... So definitely don't call and interrupt a gang initiation.
Hey, if you see me get beat up by a bunch of people and they all wearing bandanas of different colors, I might be trying to go join a gang. In which case, I might let you off the hook. But if these people don't look nothing like me... And, I'm clearly crying out for help.
Who's going to be observing long enough to see, well, do you think that this is... By then, you got 3 stab wounds. It's too late for you.
I'm just saying, if you walk by me, I'm telling you, either you help out in the battle or you help out in the recovery. If you don't do either one, I'm telling you now, I'm coming to your house and we're going to have a little chat. And when we have that chat, I'm bringing my bat and I'm putting it on your counter so that you will know I mean business. But on that note, we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we can get a little bit more entertainment and some other little things on the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
And as the sun goes down and the stars come out to play, I bet tomorrow I'll be sleeping all day. And this fire I feel, why is it burning so slowly? I can't stop thinking of you, like the £5 you owe me. 'Cause you're on my mind, 'cause you're on my mind. You're all I can find same, that we're on the same train. If you're a little bit late and miss it, that would be a great shame. I miss your sweet, sweet kisses, loving when they were mine. When are you down? I'll make sure I'm in town. 'Cause you're on my mind. You're on my mind. You're all I can find. 'Cause you're on my mind. 'Cause you're on my mind. 'Cause you're on my mind. You're all I can find. 'Cause you're on my mind. All the colors, they shine through nighttime, and I'm thinking of you. Each dawn of every day, you're on my mind.
Welcome back to this Friday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo Rice, and my correspondent.
Simone Cherie.
And Kyle Andrew.
All right, so we've talked about a lot of things, but you know, it's the beginning of the year, and we're already seeing another company go under. So Things Remembered is the next victim of bankruptcy. They're likely to close 400 of their stores. For those that do not know, Things Remembered was really big in the older days when you were trying to make a gesture of some sort. So you would go to Things Remembered and get a globe with engraved with your mom's name on it, or you could go get a bag or little title things that people put on their desk. You could get those engraved and say, hey, congratulations on becoming a doctor. You get one of those engraved, so on and so forth. And they were really big in malls. So you would see them all the time in malls, and you could just run in and, hey, well, give me an hour. We can get this engraved for you. You pay for it. You come back. You have a nice globe with stuff engraved on it. So they were really important in the old days. Nowadays, I don't think people take things that literally. So to have it engraved, I just don't think people do it. Like, I mean, outside of trophies for like sports events, but I don't think people.
You can also do it on Amazon. I think that's the thing.
It all comes back to Amazon.
I mean, I'm just
you can get stuff engraved on Amazon.
Service. Yeah, I really do love that service. But yeah, I mean, you can get things engraved on Amazon with Amazon Essentials. I mean, whether it's like a necklace or a watch or whatever.
How do you know all things Amazon? Like, I'm concerned. I didn't even know they could do that. Why do you know all things Amazon?
I just shop. I just see that.
You just shop at Amazon.
Yeah. That's
oh my
all.
God, that's ridiculous. You're part of the problem.
Look, about the inside connection, you know.
You're part of the problem.
You would know.
You're part of the problem. So they had to file for bankruptcy. So they did a whole expose on it, and they were just saying that there was a new company that came up. What's the name of it? It is called. I had it in my head, and then it just kind of left. Shinola. Shinola apparently came up, and they took what Things Remembered does to a whole nother level. So in essence, they brought in people from other countries where engraving is still an actual art form. Apparently, the person that does the engraving is outside, and it kind of looks like an engravement station versus just a store where you don't actually see how it happens. So they kind of took it to a whole nother level. So they, in essence, kind of took it to a whole nother level, and as a result, unfortunately, Things Remembered is our next victim to bankruptcy. And like I said, they had 400 stores because they were usually mall stores. And then, I do these because I want people to think about your business. and to be mindful of, staying not only up to date with your business practices, but also staying up to date with what's going on in your industry. So like I said, with Things Remembered, Shinola comes up and they take what they do to a whole nother level. Especially when and I did on the TV show, I talked about key performers. When your foot traffic goes down, when your customer service surveys start missing, and when your employee morale goes down. These are all key indicators that there might be an issue, and instead of turning the other cheek, you might want to turn your face forward to address these issues, because turning the other cheek sometimes will turn your wallet upside down and shake all your money out of it. So you want to be up to date. So that's why I usually do the bankruptcy stories and kind of look at what happens to these organizations or these businesses to kind of keep you abreast of what's going on in the world and what's going on in the matters of business. So like I said, with Things Remembered, Shinola coming up, of course, and then with people not really shopping in stores like they used to, that was an issue. So that led me to believe they didn't have a really big online presence. But
That's
you
what
don't
I was
like it.
Thinking, what do you think if they would have been digital? Maybe they would have been around longer.
Well, I think it probably was a combination of that and a combination of stepping your game up. Like, you can't do things the same way. There's a difference between saying, okay, let's hold the line because this is a temporary setback, versus, okay, everything we're doing is a little bit outdated, and that is the results that we are seeing are the result of us being outdated, and we need to step our game up. Two different scenarios. In this case, it looks like they were just like, you know what, we're going to hold the line because what we do is work for so many years, versus saying, okay, this isn't one of those hold the line moments. This is one of those.
It's all hands on deck.
Yeah, exactly. We drowning.
Yeah.
We need a life preserver. We just hit 2 glaciers. Like, a whole different ball game. And in the matters of business, you have to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And in this case, they should have folded, but got dealt a whole new hand. Actually, should have got a whole new deck of cards and just tried something completely different. To me, sometimes it's better to try something completely different, to risk it all, versus trying to be safe when safe is no longer feasible. And apparently that's what they did. They, played the hand they had been playing for years, and they had a new poker player at the table.
Yeah.
So
I'm sitting here looking at the things that Things Remembered sells, and it just, to me, it seems kind of antiquated.
Do you think that's what it is? Yeah. They just didn't have like.
I don't think there's a need for it anymore. Like Elizabeth's first. What is this?
I don't know. It's on your computer.
I'm trying to read the engraving. The text. I guess it's for a newborn baby. So you
I
get
thought
a
that
baby.
was a salt shaker.
No, it's a globe.
Is it a rattle? Maybe it's a rattle. Is it a rattle?
It's a horse, and it says Elizabeth Marie, and I guess this is her birth date.
Oh, maybe you think it's the products, maybe? Here's what I will say. I do like an engraved dog tag. I think that's so cute.
You can get that at a machine.
For
Right.
the dog. Yeah, you can get that done at
You can get that at a
Right.
machine.
Yeah.
At Chuck E.
That's
Cheese.
shame.
Actually, you can go to Chuck E. Cheese and get that at a machine.
Okay, well, no, I can't because not
Yeah,
what I name my dogs. But you can go to Amazon and it's very cheap. It's like $7.99 or something
What do
like
you
that.
name your dogs?
I had a Moses, I had an Egypt, I had a.
You get that on a dog
I had a
tag.
Spartacus, I had a Malcolm.
Okay, how many
yeah.
dogs have you
I
killed?
had a Zephora.
How many dogs have you killed? Because you just named like 5.
Yeah.
They all live in your house?
No, they died.
That's
I'm
my
talking
point.
about my lifetime.
Oh, okay. You need to specify, because I was like, man, you had that many dogs
No,
last year.
jeez.
I'm going to call the people.
In my lifetime.
You
I can
clearly
have as
don't
many
have dogs.
I can have as many dogs as I want in the great state of Georgia. But you can't have as other pets, exotic pets.
So I can have a pet alligator? Because I did think about
That's
that.
exotic.
A pet gator? I thought about that.
Yeah.
For what, dinner?
Wow. That's what you got? Or, I can have them for a coat. That'd be nice, too. It's cold outside. It's a little chilly.
Peter gonna get you.
Please don't kill me,
Oh,
Peter. That was a
Speaking
poor
of-
joke.
I was
That
going to
a
say
poor
Peter
joke.
coming after that.
That was a poor joke and poor taste.
And it don't take a much. Speaking of cold, prayers for the middle of the country. I think it's getting warmer. Warmer meaning I think it'll be 0 degrees this weekend. The deep freeze that's taken over this week has been crazy in the Midwest. Ricardo's sitting here looking so unbothered. like you look so unbothered. This was a
What do
deadly.
you want me to say?
It's cold weather. It's a cold wave.
All right,
This is
so
in our
I'm gonna
generation.
shock you again, because I know everything that I say shocks you. So I'm gonna shock you again. I have always wondered how people die in things like floods, like this situation. How do you die in a flood? Now, let me explain my ideology. Outside of factors like old age, mental and physical issues, kids, but I cannot understand for the life of me how a grown adult with all the functioning brain cells and limbs dies in a flood.
You can't swim.
Get hit by stuff.
that's not what we hear. We hear that people die because it's like if I'm in a house
going swimming.
If I'm in a house, and first of all, when I get the warnings that it's going to flood and I know I can't swim, I'm getting prepared. That means I'm going to Walmart. I'm going to get me some little floaty things you put on to get in the pool. I'm going to get me some rafts that I can blow up. And I'm going to get the air pressure thing that's going to blow it up because I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get prepared. That's just me. So the ideology, that's just me. So the ideology that I'm sitting in my house and water starts rising that I've been warned about that may happen, and I know I can't swim. I'm sitting in my house and the water starts rising, and at first I'm just like, okay, well the water's rising. Timmy, turn off the tub. The tub that overran. I'm mad. Then it keeps happening. I'm like, wait, I'm sitting on the sofa and the water's literally at the bottom of the sofa. My next move is going to be to find the nearest window so I don't get trapped in the house.
Well, see, what I was going to say is, from what I've seen, and I don't know for sure, most flood victims die out. They don't die indoors. 9 times out of 10, they're out there. But things happen in floods just like things happen in tornadoes and cyclones where things get picked up. Things are in that water that can kill you. Like especially as buildings and structures start crumbling, like you could get got by something, especially if we're talking about like Louisiana, the South, with all the wildlife in those waters. I mean, it could be something poisonous.
I mean, unless a gator comes, we back on the gator. Unless a gator comes floating by, which I keep thinking about.
Piranha.
Ma'am.
I'm just saying. Sharp objects.
Ma'am. Okay, sharp objects I may give you.
Your foot can get caught. Your clothes can get caught in the stuff in flood waters on whatever structure was underneath there. Maybe you got your leg caught around the side
I could get there.
Of a mirror. So, I mean,
these are very extreme situations.
I don't know if they're
these are
extreme
very
or not.
extreme
I was talking
situations.
about snow. You talking about a flood? I'm trying to think about a flood.
These are all natural disasters.
No, the snow is different.
These are all
the
natural
cold
disasters.
Is different because cold's hypothermia. You freeze to death.
Why would I be outside if there's a cold freeze warning?
Because bus shelters only.
Why would I be outside to feed the dog?
Homelessness.
Do they have a big homeless problem?
So there was a bus shelter for homeless people. Didn't work. wasn't warm enough. This man died in the bus shelter. His body went in the shot. He died. So 12 people have died so far.
Then the article needs to read 12 homeless people
Why?
died
So you can feel
outside.
sorry for them?
Yes, because honestly, I don't have any sympathy for anybody else. You don't have no business being outside if you don't have to.
Forgive him, Lord.
When the people said,
Forgive him, Lord.
which shouts out to Atlanta, because we learned from Snowgeddon that whenever there's a freeze warning and it's serious, salt the roads, close the schools.
I was very disappointed by that. The sun was shining the whole day.
Well, look,
there was no need for that.
I will never forget, because that's when the twins were small. I will never forget Snowgeddon, and the job actually called me. At that time, I was working for Ted's Montana Grill, and they were calling all of us to ask if we were coming to work. Sir, ma'am, I live by 75. All I see is white stuff as far as the eye can see. I am watching people park their cars on 75 and truck it home. Why, in God's name, would I leave the comfort of my home to come to your job to wait tables?
Listen.
I'm just asking.
It's hard to judge with some things, though, because there was a marathon that was scheduled for this week, and there were athletes out there with their mittens and their gloves, and they lived, right? They were totally covered. They had ice dripping off of their mouths. But these are athletes. They're not logical people. So they went out there and they did it, and they're fine, and then 12 other people died. So it's like, people. I mean, I'm just saying, there are people who
let me ask you a better question. Now I'm see where you stand. If any one of those athletes had died, would you have as much sympathy for them as you do for the homeless person?
Of course I would have sympathy.
I said as much.
As
no,
much.
I don't believe that.
I'm a God-fearing person. I have sympathy for people.
So you're trying to say I'm not a God-fearing person because
I'm
I have
not
questions?
seeing it in this
I have
particular
questions.
issue. I'm not seeing it in this particular issue.
Kyle.
Because we are not to judge. That is for
that ain't got nothing to do with judging. This comment says if they tell me it's a freeze warning outside, I'm not going to run a triathlon when it's a freeze warning outside. Who does that?
They did have a choice to be out there.
So what?
But that's their job, and that's their choice to go and make.
That is not their job.
And
they
I don't believe
no
it's
paycheck
speaking
from it.
ill of the dead either. I don't believe it's speaking ill of the dead.
Are these professional athletes?
No.
Yeah, no. I don't know. They signed up for a marathon. That's all I know.
No.
They were going to
so
run
it's
their
like
marathon.
the road race.
Yeah, I mean, and they train all
we
year
gotta pull
for
out
it.
examples. I don't
they
know what that
train
means.
all
Why we
year
gotta use
for it, and they
examples?
probably decided they were.
The point was, if people made the choice to go run a triathlon when the weatherman has already told us, wait, what's the weather person's name? The pretty one. I think it's Makita Davis. When Makita already told me that it's going to be a freeze warning, I'm not putting on no mittens. I'm not putting on no extra pair of socks to go run the triathlon. And if I drop dead,
Okay, listen to this example.
wait a minute. When if I drop dead at my eulogy, I wanted to be said, it was a freeze warning. Ricardo clearly was feeling himself that day. He put on some extra mittens and some extra socks and thought he'd be okay. And yet here we are. So let it be a lesson to everybody at this funeral. This could be you.
It's because you died.
It
doing
could be
something that
any
you
of
enjoy.
us. Any of us.
That's what you got? That's what you got.
I mean, I wouldn't do it, but if that's what they want to do, who am I to tell them that they're dumb for doing that?
Some people don't have options. So I found an article about a student in Iowa. He was at the university. Classes were canceled because of the cold temperatures. He was a student. He had no other way to get home. He was not a local or a commuter. His family was far away. And his family could not come get him and vice versa. So he had to stay and wait out the cold in his dorm. He was found dead.
Was the heat off?
No, he was found unconscious and then later died at the hospital.
Was the heat off in his dorm?
No, I guess not enough heat.
Okay, what college is this?
This University of Iowa.
Who?
University of Iowa.
University of
18 years
Iowa
old.
needs to go on an investigation.
I'm sure they will.
Because he should not be dying on campus.
But can he get sympathy? Can he get some sympathy?
Of course. Now,
18-year-old Gerald.
What kind of monster do you think I am?
I'm trying to figure that
What
out.
kind
That's
of
why I'm asking these
monster
questions.
do you think that I am?
I don't know yet. That's
Of
why
course
I'm
he gets
okay.
sympathy.
Okay.
I lived in, well, I didn't live in the dorms. I lived
Nobody
in
feels that.
housing off campus. But it was like
You know
the dorms.
schools are cheap, and this is a state university.
I can't believe you try to make me be that big of a
They
monster.
probably cut the electricity out. They cut everything. They probably cut everything.
Well,
So
actually,
classes
what
canceled.
probably happened was everybody probably left campus and it was all vacant. And as a result, they probably, maybe the heat system was on motion detectors. And since they didn't see anybody moving around because he couldn't because he was cold, it all just went off.
Yeah, also equipment can freeze. Like a lot of fireplaces, especially if you don't have a gas fireplace, equipment can freeze. It was so cold. The footage that I've seen of people's home, like nothing works. Cars don't work when it gets below 40. Nothing works. Like everything needs a certain amount of heat to move. So unless you've got WD-40 all over a door, it won't open, and you're stuck. You're SOL.
Wait, that was a real lesbian moment. So how you know what WD-40 is?
How do I know?
Yeah, how do you know what I learned something new today. I would never guess there was a WD-40 girl. That's like old school. That's like real old school. Do you know what WD-40 is?
Yeah, it's like you use it to oil
Point.
things. It's
Point.
like
What color is the can, Kyle?
blue and yellow.
Oh, all
Point.
right, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's 2 points. You know what the bottle comes in.
We
and
read.
You actually. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, so you didn't actually experience. You just read WD-40 off the.
I mean, I've seen it sitting in my house. You know,
I've
had
never
to use
used it per
Yeah.
se, but I know what it's for.
Y'all pathetic. Y'all are pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
So
Uh,
sorry, Gerald, and Gerald's family. Prayers to Gerald's family.
Didn't y'all have something else on entertainment? I feel like there was something
Just
else.
Ariana Grande.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me say, I've never heard. Actually, I just heard 7 Rings for the first time at the job, because it sounds like it was sampled from something. Because when I heard it, I didn't know it was that, but I remember hearing. It sounded like a Christmas song, and when I heard it, I was like, "Is that Christmas music?" And then I was like, "Oh, that's the new Ariana Grande song. It sounds like a Christmas carol." But what's the story?
Okay, so Ariana Grande is come under fire. First of all, this is a back-to-back situation for Ariana. She's got 2 lawsuits in the last 2 weeks. Last week, she was sued for her God is a Woman video, which was her last single by an artist who she supposedly stole the imagery from. This week, she's been hit and accused of taking 7 Rings from Soulja Boy, Princess Nokia, and 2 Chainz previous songs, and in some ways Beyonce too. They've quoted that a lot of this kind of sounds like Formation. So, according to many rap fans, the pop singer is accused of biting Soulja Boy's lyrical flow from Pretty Boy Swag.
Oh God, we back to Soulja Boy.
Nokia's lyrics from her song Mine and 2 Chainz flow on Spend It, as well as his Pink Trap House idea in her music video. So, The Sound of Music is actually the official sample that they give credit to. My favorite things.
Well, for 7 Rings? That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, these are the things. I was like, why do I know that? That's...
But everything else is, and Princess Nokia is actually very, very, very unhappy about it and believes that she needs to give him a check. Soulja Boy has demanded that he gets some credit as well.
Actually, I think he did say in an interview with the Breakfast Club that he called her name as one of the people too.
Yeah, they put a mashup on the internet online. Go YouTube at 7 Rings mashup, and you'll see all these songs from all these artists that they're accusing her of biting off of. Put them all together in one song. It sounds like one song, one dope song.
Oh my God, are we really doing this?
Yeah,
the internet has no
just
chill.
Google it.
The internet has no chill.
People are available. People have free time.
A lot.
Time, but it's great. It's great. It's
So
the best
clearly
video
you've been
ever
one of those
heard.
people with the free time, and that's why you know it's great.
I mean, I know I contribute more so with comments. So I'm very active on YouTube comments, and I have lots of highlighted replies, and it's part of my profile. You can see I provide very substantive comments to creators, and I support them. Tesher's video on YouTube, go look it up. It's Tesher Ariana Grande mashup.
Oh,
It's
God.
hilarious.
I'm concerned.
That's all I have to say.
Okay, so also with Ariana Grande, apparently she's the headlining act for Coachella this year.
Yeah.
So good luck with that, because you're not going to top Beyonce in what she did. And actually, good luck to anybody who comes behind Beyonce, because she makes sure she shuts it down. And those that remember, she did the whole nod to HBCUs. And it was an amazing, like, I'm not a diehard Beyonce fan. I do love Beyonce, but I'm not a Beehive member.
Yeah.
I'm not a card-carrying member of the Beehive by any stretch. But I love a good Beyonce song. And when I saw her performance at Coachella, I was like, now this it's a good example of how you use your platform to really elevate other people. Yeah. And she didn't even go to HBCU. So for her to want to do a whole show that's dedicated to HBCUs was amazing. And shouts out to Beyonce for doing that, even that was like a year or two ago. Doesn't matter. The point is, I don't know what Ariana Grande is going to do that can even come remotely close to that.
It's just hard to go after Beyonce. Just like with Super Bowl. People were like, well, so who's this? Oh, it was Beyonce last year. Like, who's going to be this year? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Which break? I want to ask this because I want to know. So, as we know, Gladys Knight is singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. Thoughts?
How's her voice been lately?
Oh, don't sleep on Gladys. Now I don't know about the national anthem, but honestly, I feel like Gladys gets overlooked because Gladys is in that set with Patty and she's in that set.
Yeah.
But I feel like people overlook Gladys because she's never been an out the front type personality. So they always think about Patty, Dionne Warwick, all those people. And they forget that Gladys is in that class of people too. Now, Gladys can sing because Gladys sang at Aretha's funeral, and she killed it. Like Gladys, she's an alto all day, every day. Can get it, can get in. You know I'm a singer, so
the national anthem's not gonna be easy for alto.
There lies in the point. But I'm sure she'll do it because Gladys is timeless. But everybody else got crucified that said they were going to do it, and she made the comment when they asked her why was she doing it. She pretty much said, "Look, I'm old school, and I was fighting for civil rights before these babies was.
Right,
so I feel like the national anthem holds a certain significance that I'm willing to represent and sing it." Is she validated?
Go ahead. You go ahead, Kyle. You go ahead.
I mean, what's your thoughts?
I don't see a problem with it. I really don't. I don't see a problem with Chloe and Halle doing it. I don't see a problem with Travis or Big Boy joining them.
Or Maroon 5.
I don't know if it's true or not. You don't get paid for singing the national anthem or
I don't think
performing in the halftime show. But it's great exposure. So regardless of not if you're, if I'm pretty sure they support the social issues with everything going on with Colin Kaepernick. However, I'm not going to miss out on this great exposure to support Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Now, let's be careful with that because Chrisette Michele had that same ideology when she went to sing for Trump at the inauguration, and it ruined her career.
I still supported her choice to do that.
I did too, 100%.
I did. She got paid a lot of money for that. And
no, it wasn't a lot of money. She got paid because I read the article.
To her, it was.
Yeah, was it worth her career?
I mean, she's doing stage
More
play.
importantly,
I don't know what's in her bank account, but
I can tell you they did an article because it came up because this stuff comes to my phone,
look at that.
And they did an article on it. And the poor thing, she done almost committed suicide. They showed the arena, one of her performances. There was like 3 people there.
That is all the public's
and
fault.
She
that
was
is
like,
all the public's
"How
fault.
is that the public's fault?"
Because we are tripping, trying to make everybody care about the issues all the time, and then complaining about how depressed we are all the time because all we hear is negativity, and then getting mad when people just want to escape it and do something because it's like, no, you're not addressing the negativity. Like you got to pick which side of this coin you want. You really do. Like people had a problem with all the NFL people who didn't want to go to the White House. Now I feel like people just say no off rip because they're like, oh no, I can't go because I'm gonna get crucified if I go.
I mean,
not because they care, but they're just like,
scared.
oh no, I can't go. I'm not allowed to go.
I mean, look, public opinion is no joke, and that's why I've always said
But
that
it's
the more, yes, but the more power we give public opinion, the more we're gonna see stuff like this. I mean, I didn't even think it was a big deal about doing the halftime show, and now I'm like, okay, well, all the big wigs are turning it down. I'm like, good God, I wouldn't.
Right.
Actually, I'm surprised nobody said anything about Big Boy. Because I was like...
People have said a little thing, but more so about Travis Scott. I think he got more press because of the donation he's facilitating.
Yeah, he also said that he talked to Colin Kaepernick about it, but Colin said that he never had a conversation with him.
Well, right, and then
So he
Nick
lied
Cannon
now.
tried to say like Travis is like he's not one of the people, he shouldn't do it. Like people have a lot of opinions about who's black and who's not, and they typically fall short in some category. Like Nick Cannon making that speech about Travis Scott saying he doesn't have any credibility with the people, with his white wife and biracial kids. But
What does that mean? That's
what I'm
fair.
saying. So it's like, what are you talking? Everybody like you can't don't play this game. And Dream Corps is a great thing. So the fact that Travis was like, listen, I'll do it, but this is what you have to do, I think that's great. I would take advantage of any great opportunity I had. If I care about an issue, I care about an issue. You not going to the Super Bowl is not going to change the issue. So let's not say no to things that,
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we have to remember this is still their business. So I always like to use Chrisette Michelle. She didn't make a good business. If everybody else is saying no, I'm not about to get no, because that check was not a big check. I can't remember what the exact number was, but it was not a big check.
But that's fear, though. You know what I mean? A lot of times that doesn't serve you.
Well, that's good
A lot of
business,
times
though.
that doesn't serve you. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah, but that's good business. If everybody
Sometimes.
else is turning it down, there's a reason everybody else is turning it down. If everybody's telling you no, don't do it, especially the old heads are telling you no, don't do it. Look, I'm one of people. If you tell me there's a snake outside, I'm not going to get close enough for it to bite me to prove a point.
But those-
I'm okay with me not going outside. I'll play some games. I'll get the Monopoly board out, watch some TV. I'm not
I'm
going
sure she
outside
still has her
to
true
see if there's a snake.
fans.
She was
She
paid
got like
$250,000.
All that little bit of money, and now you ruin your career. And
I'm
you
sure
know,
she has
we're
a true
the
fan.
public opinion pool is not very forgiving. So that was what 3-4 years ago. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Almost 3 years
She
ago.
still can't bounce back from that,
If I could meet the public and find them.
ma'am. That's why they call it the public. It's
What
not
I'm
one
saying
person.
is that's-
It's not one person.
But if they were one person, bro, they would be worth it. They would be
Ma'am,
worth
if it was
going
one
to jail
person,
to eliminate.
they'd probably be beat up, left on the sidewalk. If it was one person,
I would love that.
It's clearly not.
They would be worth it. It's just crazy. to
I'm
me.
saying it's at
R.
the end of the
Kelly
day.
still got his fans, so
For years.
and he will always have his
You
fans.
will not
Michael Jackson will always have
degrade-
his fans.
You will not decimate.
Here's one of them right here.
Die Hard.
Right here.
Does not. I don't agree with anything R. Kelly does
But you were
or
a fan.
did. But I am sorry. A lot of his music held some very significant points. And when I put on some of those songs, I can remember
like,
the time.
Give me that honey love.
First of all,
That's
Honey Love is
significant
not
to
that
you?
fast.
It's significant.
So if you're gonna sing it,
That's
sing it at the right
significant?
speed.
That's significant.
No,
Is Sex Me significant?
no,
Is Bump and Grind significant?
no.
Okay.
Exactly.
What about the
Stop
closet?
fishing.
The closet?
No, stop fishing. If you
Step
must
in the
know,
name of love?
because we get really. If you must know, I Can't Sleep is significant because that was a song they played at prom. So that was very significant for me.
Who was your prom date?
Was that the one I went with Mel Williams on? Shouts out
See,
to
look
Mel,
at
Melanie
you, look
Williams. The second one is we gotta go. Talking, you made me forget. I Believe I Can Fly because I sang that in the talent show and won. That's right. So I still fly. And the third one is TP2.com because I got in a lot of trouble. So on that note, everybody give you a 30-second farewells. It's 2:00. So
No, that's the end of it. Everyone enjoy the Super Bowl. Everybody else stay warm. Don't go outside. It's not worth it.
man, it's 55 degrees outside. You can go
Well,
outside.
no,
Nate.
I'm talking people who are still in the Midwest.
Oh well, yeah, we don't want to go outside.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm excited about this year's presidential 2020 run. It's going to be really entertaining this year. You got all
It's already
these-
entertaining.
Yeah, well, exactly. You've got a guy that's not married. You have a gay guy. You have a woman of color, and then you have Trump.
And Mark Cuban, there's still time.
Yeah.
There's still
Oh my
time.
God. On that note, all right, we will see you guys on Monday. Over the weekend, check out my YouTube channels at The Leadership Blend radio show and The Leadership Blend television show, where you can see the television show as well as the radio show. And we'll see you on Monday, same time, same place, on Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
IBNX Radio.